Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention? I've just been handed an urgent and horrifying news story. And I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen.
Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to tonight's happy hour kind of special hangout. We're going to be talking everything pumpkin spice tonight, guys. You guys ready?
No.
Let's just all throw up now at this point.
Is this how we like attract white girls? The pumpkin spice thing?
hey, I've got my Stanley right here. You know, where's yours?
Like me right now, trying to get above that 1% female subscribership
bar.
with offering the pumpkin spice.
Well, anything we can do to help Walt, raise that demographic and his overall viewer stats, what we're happy to do here. But welcome, guys. Glad to have you on, and everybody in the chat tonight. It's our pumpkin spice episode where Mike, he comes up with these great topics, and great thumbnails on top of it. Man, I got to give him for his creative spin on this one tonight. He stepped away for a little bit. He had a little thing he had to do on a sidebar, but he'll be back in here and to join in the fun. But tonight we're talking a lot of stuff tonight. I mean, it's a little crazy. We're going to kind of be.
You get to drink from the fire hose.
We all know. I mean, ultimately, you can't not miss that. What's the big weekend? We got Sports Parks weekend, and a lot of band changes going on. Man, I don't know where to start. I guess how's things going? Let's start there. So Todd, you happen to be my first one on the left. I'll start with you. How's things going with you? What's been going on?
Well, I missed the jump barely. Well, as they were all on the ground with their asses on the ground and the chutes out, I pull in because Eric says, "Oh, you get 4 minutes. They're getting on the plane, then they're going up." So I'm like, "All right, I'm 10 minutes away," and literally I get there and his son was like, "He already jumped. He finally jumped." So I got to see the end of it, the aftermath, and I'll tell you, Paul had the biggest smile on his face I've ever seen.
Oh
I've never seen the guy smile.
It was frozen on his face. It was frozen on his face. You ever see that? What is that Joker Batman movie where the Joker decides to make everybody smile, when they're dead? That's exactly what Paul kind of looked like. Without the
he was very excited. It was very cool. We stayed and kind of talked a little bit afterwards and watched 2 more jumps go by. So it does go quick. I mean, they were up and down. I don't think it takes more than 10 minutes, to be honest with you. But very cool, and looking forward to him doing some more jumps. And we got to figure out a way to fund him. It's not cheap.
Yeah. Nope. although he's measured the value of what it costs to jump to what it costs and how many amateur radios are Baofangs, or Baofangs. So
Yeah.
if we can calculate that for him, it'll soften the blow a little bit. But
Yeah. Besides that, I found out we had it all rained on Sunday, and I had a game, and that game got canceled. So now I have a doubleheader tomorrow, which means I'm missing I think I've only been to one Support Your Parks weekend with our club. So unfortunately, I'm going to miss that because we have an 11 o'clock game and a 3:30 game. So I was going to go right after the 11 o'clock. So I'm kind of bummed about that, but my goal is to get out at some point and try to activate a park, but I just won't be with the guys at the club. So that's about it for me. Nothing else. Just talking on a repeater and working. I'm back to work and not happy about it. Had the summer off and
the whole summer.
I know I want to be retired. I like that stuff.
Cool. All right. Well, that sounds like hopefully you get some Support Your Park weekend in and get to make a few contacts. But Izzo, obviously, how good to see you here. Glad you finally got some time in the schedule to come hang out with us. We appreciate you coming. So, what's going on with you, man?
I had nothing to do tonight. It drives me crazy because I have, we were talking before about gratitude of how blessed we all were before the show started. I'm blessed. I got a good job. Okay. But the crazy rotations of how it works, where you work 5 days on, 2 days off, 4 days on, 2 days off. It gets crazy. So I miss you guys sometimes with overtime and everything. But when I saw everything coming up, and then I saw what was going on in the Discord chat, and I looked at I looked at my calendar. I guess back in August it was. I'm like, that's it. I'm not going to do anything on October 18th. And then I fell asleep. Right, I fell asleep right before the show because I did a whole bunch of things today, and then I was chasing. I was hunting. I wanted to see what the bands are, and we know that's not really what to do because it's more importantly what happens, tonight for late shift. Bands will go through a whole different, because we all know the bands do differently at 9 o'clock Eastern time tonight versus 9 o'clock tomorrow morning versus 3 in the everything band does it, and I'm like, and I saw somebody in the chat mention the bands were great this afternoon around 3:30 for about an hour, maybe about 90 minutes. I was hunting all over the place, even on 10 meters. It was really, really fun. So I'm getting ready for tomorrow. I do have tomorrow off. I haven't decided what I'm going to do yet. It's going to be one of those, I think when I get up in the morning, I'm just going to say, I'll either go to my favorite park. I'll just do something else. Maybe I'll go for a ride. I don't know. It's just one of those things where I just want to maybe do something different. And then all of a sudden, something will say, just 30 months, whatever. The most important thing is just get on the air, right?
Well, maybe it's a rove for you, man, right? Do a rove.
No, I'm not going to do a rove. No, if I do, I do. I'm not going to say. I don't want to jinx it because I was talking about doing a Rhode Island rove tomorrow. I was thinking of maybe doing 3 parks along the coastal waters and just kind of keep it simple. I've been to 1 or 2 of them before. Just go back again, take it easy. See who's open for lunch or on the way home. It's kind of off season out there, and that has its pros and cons. Walt really knows what that's like, when he experienced it, because we were all following Walt this entire summer. It was so great, watching him and so many other people. But I'm just excited just to be here tonight with some good men. We're going to talk some radio. We're going to talk about how we all miss Paul jumping like everybody else. Yesterday, we were in the 911 center. I said to everybody, you guys got to see my friend. My friend is going to jump from 11,000 feet. This is going to be awesome. I pumped this thing up, and everyone's looking at me, and we're waiting for the show to come on. We're waiting, and all of a sudden, there comes that buffering circle. I'm like, and of course, it was just like as if we had a special guest. Nothing happened. Nothing happened. The phones weren't ringing. Everybody, the cops, the firemen, everybody was doing what they were doing. We had nothing to do but watch YouTube on the big screen, the big 55-inch, waiting for Paul to jump.
Real bad.
So I can't wait to see. I am so happy for him. I'm really happy. I know you guys said he had a camera up on him, so I can't wait to when he decides to and put all his A-roll and B-roll together, put it all out, and that's gonna be a fun video to watch. I have a feeling that's gonna be really, really fun to watch, if nothing else. So, but
Well, you
that's
know,
what
if anything out of it,
10 tonight.
He-
It's cold. It's getting cold. I got a good cigar. I'm in the tent now between now and April here at the house, and we're gonna stay warm and have a cigar and just talk about radio or whatever. So,
There you go.
Cool. Nice. Awesome. Well, good to, sorry, I have to apologize first and foremost because I knew we were going to have technical difficulties if Paul actually jumped. It would have been one of those things like our first jump, we have 3 hours of just us all standing around talking about nothing, waiting for clouds to clear. And then now he goes and jumps, and we've got no video of him jumping. So it's like, okay, why not? But stay tuned to his channel. He'll have actually his live, jump. So we'll be looking forward to that, like you said. So cool. All right. Well, with that, over to Salty Walt. How you going, buddy? Good to see you.
Thanks,
What's
guys.
up with you?
I'm so excited to be here, man. I was telling you guys before we started, I'm kind of turning into a roadie here, man. I'm loving Rhode Island. I'm from the land of y'all and grits and gumbo, and I'm up here in the Chowderland, and I'm kind of having this state's really cool. I really, I was telling you guys I lived in Connecticut as a kid. My dad was an engineer. We were up here for a while, but and I've always had kind of a love for Southern New England, but I never realized how awesome Rhode Island was. Now that I've been here 4 or 5 months, really great for what I like to do. For the Coastal Waves and Wires channel, what a perfect place to be. And I'm having a lot of fun up here. Izzo, you're right, man. Everything's closing right now. I go to my little clam shacks and everything. Everything's done for the season, so it's been kind of
roadside stands. Those roadside stands. Yeah.
Going through a little bit of a change here, but I'm having fun. I do get home every other weekend. I get home to down on the Chesapeake Bay there, down in Hampton Roads, Norfolk, Portsmouth, where my home is, my wife and son and grandkids or whatever. But I am enjoying my time up here. I might be here for a few years. It with work is going really well. But man, I'm so excited to be with you guys, everybody here. I mean, I was talking to Rob earlier today. I've been a subscriber of Rob's. Today was the first time we actually talked on the phone and really met each other. But been a friend of his for a while. And I'm at 23,000 subscribers. Back when I had 1,000 subscribers, this certain guy sent me an email and said, "We got this thing called the Clubhouse. Will you come on?" And man, I was so excited. I've been on there a couple times and with Izzo, so I've known him for a while. He's one of the guys when I was just getting started and the channel was taking off that really reached out to me. Him and Ape from the Coffee and Ham Radio guys. Don't tell Ape, but I really kind of like the Clubhouse.
Don't give him.
Sorry, cat's out of the bag
give him
now.
a bigger head. Don't give him a bigger head than what he already has.
Yeah. I remember coming on with you guys. This is cool. I like them too. I'm just giving him a hard time in case
he's cool. He's cool.
You know what? When we went live, my phone lit up and said, "The Smoking Ape is live right now." I'm like, I'll be damned. At the same time as us, you know what I mean? So that's why I said that. But yeah, guys, I'm enjoying. I love New England. I'm enjoying being here. I've been like I said, I've kind of worked a road dog, as I call it. I've been all over the place working, and it's good to be here. I'm in the shipyard here, and we're building a couple car ferries that are going to be up in Maine. I can't wait till we get them finished, because then I'm going to drive up to Maine and drive my Jeep on the ferry and ride across the Costco Bay there on the ferry that I built. I'm looking forward to that. So
that sounds fun. That's awesome.
Yeah, so it's pretty cool. And I'm having fun, man. I can't believe how my channel has just been exploding over the last year. And like I said, thanks to people like Izzo and people that kind of put me out there. I am so grateful for that. We talked about that on attitude of gratitude, man. I'm so grateful for everything that's going on. I've met some of the coolest people, you guys included, being in a community of ham radio YouTubers. And I'll be honest with you, I've met some of the biggest jerks in the comments too. But you know what I do? I just bye. You're going bye. You're going bye.
You know you made it. You know you made it when you bring out the sad hams. You know that. You know you made it. That's how I look at it. So.
You know you made it when you have a video and you post it. Within 15 minutes, you have 1 thumbs down, and 3 hours later you have 1,000 thumbs up and still that one guy down. You know, I'm living rent free in your mind, dude. I love it. You know what I mean? Like
They think he's a righteous dude.
for sure. Anyway, guys, I talk too much, man. We'll send it over to Rob. Thanks, guys. It's just great to be here.
How are you doing, Rob?
Let's see. I don't know what I'm doing these days. Working a lot, like everyone else probably. But let's see. So today after work, I was trying to get set up. I'm actually going to be doing JOTA tomorrow, Jamboree on the Air. Some of you guys already know that I'm one of the leaders of my son's scout troop, so I do a lot of the campouts and stuff. But normally, in years past, we've always had a camp out scheduled on the JOTA weekend with, activities and stuff. So there was no time to fit it in. But this year, our October camp out is next weekend. So we were able to fit in JOTA this year. So I'm getting kind of set up for that. We're just going to set up at a local town park. We're not going to be, doing part of support your parks or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's a town park that all the scouts are familiar with and the parents and all that, to just make everyone feel comfortable and get as many of the scouts as we can in. I'll have some help. My sister and brother-in-law are both hams. They're going to come help. And my neighbor is a ham, and he does CW. He's a big CW guy. So he's going to come do a demo for the scouts. It should be a good day. And hopefully we can get some guys interested. Even if it's not now, 10, 15, 20 years down the road, they may look back on that memory and say, hey, I remember that ham radio stuff. So it's important to kind of do that and get that spark in these young guys. So we'll see how that goes. And then Sunday, we've got some plans. I won't reveal everything, but Walt knows what they are. Yeah, so we'll see how that goes.
So JOTA, so you guys going to have a vanity call sign for that weekend for you guys, or are you just going to use yours?
I didn't get that far ahead. We're just going to use my call sign and go from there. And then we'll see if it catches on with the troop, then maybe we'll do something bigger. Or next year, actually, I was talking with the Connecticut POTA Activators group. I don't know the exact name of their club. Don probably knows it. But I was talking to them.
It's a very loose group. Yeah, it's a very loose group right now. Yeah.
I was talking to Sean about that. And they're doing something with JOTA down there too. So if I've got enough interest from my troop, then maybe next year we'll get together with some of the other troops and do something bigger for Connecticut. But for right now, I'm starting small. We got to walk before we run and that kind of a thing. So we'll see where it goes.
Totally cool. Well, we'll have to put you on Hammer Alert, make sure we work you tomorrow, and be glad to get you there in the log and talk to a bunch of scouts. It's always fun. I'm an Eagle Scout on the side, so you may have heard. So I have a fondness for that stuff and really enjoy it. And that's how I cut my teeth, was in radio, in Boy Scouts. So I totally get it. It's an awesome thing.
A lot of people have. In fact, if you listen to Josh, Ham Radio Crash Course, he said that's where he got the bug too. So you never know.
It's going to be a lot of people going to be on the air with JOTA and support your parks, and at least up here in New England, it's going to be nice. So it's going to be, I think it's going to be pretty busy. So it's going to be a good weekend to activate and get on the air and have some fun.
The weather's great this weekend up here. It really is.
Yeah, the other day though, I was getting nervous because it was 27 degrees. I walked outside. I was like, "Damn, that's cold." I'm not used to that yet.
Were you still wearing shorts though, Todd? Were you still wearing a pair of shorts?
Yeah. My kid's still wearing shorts. I'm like, "What are you?" We show up to baseball practice and half the kids are wearing shorts. It's like 40 degrees outside. Yeah. I'm like, "What are you guys doing?"
There's always when I worked at a company, there was a FedEx and UPS guys, and they'd have a competition to see how. I mean, this was in Minnesota, so think how much colder that gets and how quick it gets cold there. And they would literally have a competition to see who could wear shorts longer up until December, early January. It's like, you guys are nuts. It's like 30-some degrees hourly, and barely making it 30 degrees. And they're wearing shorts. They're running around like crazy and dropping off packages. And
it's crazy. It's cold there too. Minnesota and Wisconsin are the two coldest places I've ever been in my life. Freaking cold up there. The north. I've worked up in a shipyard in the northeast corner of Wisconsin for quite a while. Holy cow, that was cold. And I worked at Bath, Maine for a year or so. I was up in Maine. Wisconsin, just cold. I'm talking major cold.
You get that plains, you get the humidity coming, the cold winter, and it's just cold, so
You
it
get
is.
get the vortexes too. They got those polar
Yep.
vortexes that kind of run
Right
through
from
there.
Canada coming right down.
Yeah,
Sure.
cold.
Cool. Awesome, Rob. So, surprise, meeting tomorrow. We'll be looking forward to seeing what that entails. It sounds like it begins with a W and ends with a T, but we'll figure out where that goes with that.
Yeah. Keep an eye on my channel and keep an eye on Walt's too. You might see something interesting there.
Cool. Always looking forward to it. Awesome. Well, Marvin, so what you've been up to, buddy? How's things? I've been diving heavily deep into your podcasts on preparedness stuff. It's kind of stirring the pot there a little bit for me to, But so, what's up with you, man?
Yeah. So yeah, got a lot of good podcasts. I've been putting out on that. Been really intriguing. It's always an interesting time of the year. I try and do something every year along those lines. So if you're in the chat, whatever you're listening, the Hammer Got podcast, it's actually growing pretty good, getting a few more followers. I saw somebody else popped up on my Podbean today as another follower. YouTube's doing really well, so it's growing, which is great. I'm happy for that. So I'm like Walt and Izzo, I'm very thankful for number of subscribers, and a few more comments are coming across to my channel, which is great. I've got some of the video created. I was hoping to get more done, but it seems like nowadays, this time of year, all of a sudden I get home from work and I get supper, I get the dog out, I play with him for a half hour, 45 minutes, and it's dark. And so there's a satellite pass, but it's like I'm not doing it in the dark. So I will be recording my satellite pass for my upcoming video I promised a couple days ago. I was hoping to have it out already, but being the evening weather and stuff, and Monday was kind of crappy with weather too. I didn't get that done. So talking about how to obtain weather data from a satellite pass and how are you going to get that information. So my video will be showing up on that. I'm hoping to get an activated park tomorrow. I just saw, I think it was yesterday, it was Activate Your Park or Support Your Park weekend. So I was hoping for that to getting out and activating as well. I really did my first, I was so mad at myself. I went to Wachusett State Reservation area. It's like 2,006 feet. I mean, literally, you can off in the skyline, you can see Boston off in the distance. And
the
it's
highest point in anywhere in Mass.
In Mass, it's the highest point in Mass. I was just going to say that. And it's like, all right, I'm great. I'm good. I got my 705. Got the KM4 ACK antenna. I'm up there, and it's like I'm getting really high SWRs. And I was going to grab my tuner that morning. It's like, no, I don't need it. This antenna's always been very resonant. It's great. It's no problem. I get up there and it's just shooting out high SWRs. It's like, so I couldn't really activate that point at that park of that day last weekend. So I was really torqued myself. So I came home and I did my first Dota, driveways on the air. And
new one here, guys. That's a first. I haven't heard that one ever.
I think an antenna tuner needs to be standard operating equipment with everybody in this day and age. It's like,
it probably was, but it's like I'm 10 watts, and it's like that antenna's pretty resonant. It's like I'm not going to worry about it too much. And it's like I'll be fine. I've used the antenna, really probably hundreds of times, and never had an issue with it. And there it was. The one time I didn't do it, and I don't usually. I haven't activated a ton with the 705, but the few times I haven't had a problem. But no, now I've got it.
I've been right where you're at. As a matter of fact, my last trip home to Virginia, I grabbed my LDG AT 100 Pro tuner and brought it back with me. I was like, how the heck have I been up here for 3 months without a tuner? Because same experience as you. It's like, what the heck?
So I was so active. I was so mad I couldn't activate that park, but whatever it is. And then I've got a new vertical. It's used, but I'm going to set that up in my backyard. I've had the Gap Challenger up for quite a while, and I can't get that thing to tune SWRs down to like 1.5, 2.0. I can't get them anywhere near that. I mean, I'm talking about like 7, 8s, 10s for SWR ratio. So it's terrible. So I'm going to take that one down, and I don't know what I'm going to do with it yet. If somebody wants it and they want to try it, go for it. But I'm going to put up a little Hustler 6B, I think it is. And so I'll put that up tomorrow and try that little vertical for a little while, see how that one does. Apparently,
Marvin,
good.
Marvin, I want to tell you a quick story.
Yeah.
Last summer, and I did it again this summer. Take my 705. I'm about 3,000 feet from the beach. 10,000. It's a quick 10-minute walk, private beach. And I've been fooling, just like every other ham. I got like a lot of antennas, right? I got the K6 ARK antenna. You don't need a tuner with that. Set it up here in the backyard. Work great. This and that. Summertime, no problem. This and that. Replicated the same thing. The piece of coax, the antenna. I did exactly everything. I said, I'm gonna go down to the beach, keep it simple, go light, this and that. And I was having trouble. It wasn't I don't know what it was. It just drove me crazy. Came back home. I had a bad piece of feed line. So I said, that's it. From now on, I'm always going to bring my tuner, whether I need it or not. It's there. It's in the truck if I need it. I got the 3 rolls, the 3 50 footers of coax. I bought some of the Massey and Poloni. I have some ABR, whatever. We all have our bag of connectors, but I said I wanted to do this without the tuner. I figured, hey, if it works at the house, 10 minutes away, so that's it. From now on, I'm leaving Murphy. I want Murphy out of my life when it comes to ham radio. I'll deal with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's just one of those things, man.
Like I said, I was shocked. I've ran that antenna, I don't know how many hundreds of times.
See?
Literally, and never had an issue with it. And all of a sudden, so I don't know. One guy told me, well, maybe you burnt up your toroid. You may not know it, but it's like, no, I don't think I did that. It's not likely, but who knows? So I'm going to try it with just another. I'm going to put an antenna tuner on it, analyzer, and just kind of see what it's doing, and just check it from that way too. So we'll play with that.
I always say that building an antenna is like health. When you sign into a hospital or it says medicine is not an exact science, neither is antenna building, because I get so much hate mail from people. I built that antenna just like you did on the video, and I didn't make the contacts you made. I'm like, dude, I'm sorry. You know what I mean? It is what it is. Sometimes.
It makes a difference whether you're on sand or you're in the dirt or you're up on a hill. Your environment makes a huge difference sometimes.
Sure does. Yes, it does. Yeah.
It just, where you did it at and where they did it at, it's just two different things,
Yeah.
And maybe their wire was an inch longer. Who knows? So.
And you never know. Like you said, it could be. I've just like Marvin was saying. I've gone out with. Had a bad piece of coax. I'm like, man, what in the heck is going on here? I can't even I can't.
It worked the last time for me. That piece of coax worked the last time, right? Yeah.
If you activate portable a lot, you're gonna, every 20 or 30th time out, you're gonna experience that. It's gonna happen.
Stuff happens.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
Happens.
Yeah.
So
totally.
overall, everything's good. So.
Well, bummer on the antenna stuff. I can sympathize because I really don't have antenna problems, because you really don't have antenna problems if you leave your antenna at home. So, it just works out good that way. But, now I have the reciprocal. I can bring my antenna, but I leave my battery at home for some unapparent reason. I don't know why. Or my battery doesn't get charged and I bring it with me. So, I'm just carrying around dead weight. So, yeah.
We've all forgot that one item at some point. We're not done activation, forgot something at some point.
Power cord. The power cord.
I did that.
I went all the way
forgot
to
the radio.
With me, it's always been the SO239 to B and C. I brought the wrong connector, the wrong coax, and I just carry big.
I was just going to say, now we carry a plethora. We carry a plethora of stuff.
Yeah. I went to Vermont to activate Vermont for the first time. I get all set up and I had no coax. I was like, and it's like I'm in the middle of Vermont. I'm like, yeah, there's nothing out here. I'm never gonna find coax.
Yeah, my brother had to coming back from Florida after working storm work down there for 2.5 weeks, and he was going to activate North and South Carolina on the way home, back up here, and he didn't have any coax in his truck. So,
that's killer.
All right. Well, sorry to hear.
Carry some extra speaker wire with you. That's all. You got the speaker wire. You can make an antenna with it. You can turn it into some balanced feed line.
Yeah.
Hey, in a pinch, you got your car wiring too.
EDC the BNC clip thing, the Cobra head, and some speaker wire. You'll be set.
So Mike has it all down here. So now that he's back from the Packy, how are you doing, buddy?
Oh man, I'm doing good. It's been a week. It's been a month. It's been crazy. Just real busy with work and then family. It's like and for any parents out there, like we're transitioning from one sport to the next. So like right now, the youngest is doing both football and basketball. I'm coaching our last game tomorrow, but I had to run him out to practice tonight because my wife was stuck in traffic with a accident and the car was on fire on the highway, which was nice. But anywho, glad to make it. Glad to finally get a drink right now because I definitely need one. Antennas, real quick. because Walt mentioned the K6 ARK, and Marvin was talking about the antenna struggles. So my latest, I shouldn't say my latest, my ongoing antenna struggle is with the K6 ARK. Now, Walt might not remember this, but I won that antenna on Clubhouse. So which was a very special thing. And so
it was always spotty at that
I know
point.
they always say on Clubhouse they want to see people, do something with what you win, right? And so I sat on this antenna kit because I got it when I had a G90, and I was like, I'm going to do a 9-to-1. And Adam told me when I saw him, he's like, do a 9-to-1. That's what you want. Then I got a 7300 a month later, and that changed I kind of was like, I don't know what I'm going to do with it now. And I just sat on it. And so this summer I got the idea. I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to build a 9-to-1 with it. I'm not going to build the NFET half wave. I'm going to build a 4-to-1. I'm going to build, and I told Adam, I'm going to call it the Rybakark. It's going to be the smallest Rybakoff antenna known to man. And I have gone through, I'm on my third board right now because I have borked this thing so bad. I've had continuity errors and everything. It's just so small, so tiny. I've built the Poseidon from Coffee and Ham Radio, so I've done it, on like the larger scale. But you get down to this, and it's just, I am not technical. I'm not a builder, and I definitely, I want to see this through. I'm on my last board now, and then I'm gonna have to like get more. But Adam's been great in helping me out, and I ran out of magnet wire. I had to order some more of that, and I'm gonna give it another shot because I do want to try to do that. I think that would be fun to have a real small 4-to-1 Rybakoff that can do up to 20 watts.
You do understand the evolution cycle of an antenna is that you will eventually get back to what you were supposed to originally build. No matter what.
If I strike out the third time, then I'm just gonna put up a dipole, I swear.
Radio Shack.
Hey, Mike, one of the things with the K6 ARK, and there's been a debate that I've been seeing a little bit about the graphite mass. Mm-hmm. I bought like 3-4 years ago. I bought a mass from Amazon, a $10 mass to put up a kite or a flag or something. I have better luck with Adam's antenna with a very simple non-conductive mass. I don't know what it is. Is it just how because I always run everything as an NFET sloper.
Okay.
I don't know. Like you, I am not a scientist. I'm not technical. I'm more appliance operator. I like to dibble to experimental level at a very low level, and this, as long as it works, make contacts, look at impedance levels. If it, but that antenna for me works better with a non-conductive mass. Even though I may run like a 12-inch, 18-inch string to keep it away from the antenna, there's just something about how I'm doing it. I don't want to say it's Adam's antenna. It's whatever I'm doing, it works better for me that way. Even whether I run it off the 7300, my FT891 recently was the same thing, to the 705. There's something with my mass, this plastic twisty mass goes up about 18 feet and it works. Mm-hmm. So as they say, if it works, keep on doing it, right? But I would like to know why. I would like. I don't have that technical knowledge to go into the deep dive of it.
I know the carbon fiber masts can be conductive and can get in the way of things. I know, like, I have the Ed Fong roll-up J-pole, and I've used that for some public service events before. And when I tested it out because, this is what I heard, and it was the case. If you put it up straight hanging down on like a Soda Beam's carbon 6, one of the carbon fiber masts, the small ones, or one of the Gocher fishing rods, the SWR will be off. Now, if you angle the pole a little bit so that, the antenna's, the J pole's hanging straight down, but it gets further away from that, then it's fine. But at the end of the day, like a lot of people, I memorized all the questions, all the answers, and I've learned by just messing around, like RF around and find out. And, and some of the stuff, I know Walt loves it. Like when somebody's like, that'll never work. It's like, okay, it's on now.
Mike, here's where I'm at in life. All right. So I'm a structural engineer. So we design ship structures and we model them, and then we do what's called a finite element analysis. And then we do, calcs to see when the beams will fail, and then we do calcs to see the shape of the hull, how fast it'll go through, and we overthink everything. And I come over to my hobby, a ham radio, and I don't want to overthink, man. I just want to put a wire in the air and see if it works. You know what I mean? And I really think that I honestly, and if I offend anybody, I'm sorry. Ham radio operators are just like the guys I work with sometimes. Stop. You're overthinking it. If it works, it works, man. Just get a wire in the air. Let's have fun. You know what I mean? Let's make some contact. That's kind of what I try to. I mean, I'm not saying I don't ignore the laws of physics or anything, and I kind of look at it, but overthinking is one of the problems. And I tell you, the worst overthinkers, the guys in the comments of my videos are like, well, yeah, go away.
As long as they stay in your comments, I'm happy.
Man, having fun.
No, I don't mind.
You know what? I got this term from Mike. Mike, you're the one that said DBE, man, drive-by engineers. I use it now all the time.
Drive-by.
I love it.
I always say, that's why Walt measures his antenna gain in DBE, drive-by engineers.
Drive-by engineers.
Oh, there we go.
But no, the great thing, and I'm not technical, and this is a big hobby. There's something for everyone, and I always say, and it's true. What I appreciate the most about ham radio is it gets me out of my comfort zone. It gets me out of my bubble, and that's a good thing. It's brought me, up to summits, out into woods and lakes, and I've built things I never would have thought of doing, and I've met awesome people. So it's it's good. It's good when you kind of just mess around, find out. Just don't overthink it. I can't say that enough, but I overthink everything. But easier said than done.
Magic there. You got to leave some magic there. If you overthink it to the point of it's all theory, physics, the magic goes away. There's so much magic to put in a wire in the air, and there you are. You're talking to somebody in New Zealand. You know what I mean?
Like, well, where's the smoke going to go if you get rid of the magic?
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying, though. It's like, my wife asked me the difference between AM and FM, and we've all heard this. I said AM is almost magic, and FM is effing magic. You know what I mean? That's
ancient modulation. Now you're talking my language.
I say it's Mike's favorite.
Yeah, I might actually. Tomorrow's the New York QSO party, and it's just from 10 to 10 Eastern.
Is it New Hampshire's too?
No.
Eric?
I thought it was,
if it is, then there's going to be no space on 40 meters.
It's going to be nuts. It's going to be packed.
You can activate a park in 10 minutes. You know that. Yeah. That's where maybe the roving comes in. You can activate a park in 10 minutes, or make your 12 contacts, get in, and go somewhere else if you want.
Just activate.
I might go out and play some AM. We'll see if I can find the space.
Just go activate 17 or 12 meters and get yelled at by all the drive-by engineer sad hams that are on the walk bands.
Yeah. Or go to the extra section and get yelled at because you're luring generals down.
Yeah.
Has anybody got those? I haven't gotten one yet, but people have been getting emails. Extras will go and activate a park in the extra portion, and there's somebody out there that's monitoring this. And if they hear that some general doesn't know that they're not supposed to operate down there, or just isn't paying attention or something, they make the contact. And then 3 hours later, the guy that did the activation gets an email, telling him that he shouldn't be doing that, and you're luring these generals down here, and whatever. And it's like,
you're luring them down here.
Yeah,
that's luring them.
The back alley.
Trying to get them in trouble.
Yeah, and it's like, what? You don't have any.
Hey, you generals want some candy?
I got a white van. Jump in. Come on.
Yeah, and telling them, you should only activate in the general portion, and blah 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 blah. And it's like, whatever.
Wow.
Have a nice
Thanks for wasting my time. I appreciate it.
If guys like that, if that's all they have to do, man, I'm looking forward to retirement.
I know, right? Get up in the morning.
Rob, I look at those people. I look at those people who I understand what they're trying to say. Whether I agree with it or not, I understand what they're saying. We are to police ourselves, right? So they should really be contacting that individual. Number two, it's all how you say it. And number three, at the end of the day, yes, I want to keep our hobby legit and everything. I get all that stuff. I think we're all good operators. There's 99% of us, we're all good operators. There's that 1%, and I don't care what the hobby is, what the profession is. You always have the whatevers, right? But someone took the time to do this and email, get out and get on the air. Whether you're from your house, you're spending too much time in front of that keyboard, man. Get out and operate. Or just get away from it. That's why there's a big dial called a VFO on the radio. Whoever created that, created that, thank you. Thank you for creating the VFO in that waterfall. Just get away from it all and you'll be okay. You'll be all right if you just walk away. There's nothing wrong with just walking away. So,
and that's the thing. I mean, we talk about self-policing, but that doesn't mean you're a policeman, you know? So,
yeah. Some of us take that a little overboard.
Yeah. It's like you said, Don, you know, if you want to send somebody a note or something and, you know, let them know what happened, that's one thing. But, you know, the way I don't know if you've seen any of these online, but the way these things are worded it's comical. You know, because it is. Somebody thinks they're a self-appointed band police or something like that and taking it a little too far. And it's discouraging, really, is what it ends up being. You know,
yeah, it's easy to be a keyboard commando and just sit there and type behind a screen and stuff. Like if you couldn't comment online, if you wanted to comment on one of my videos and you had to, you know, approach me in person, like at the bar or the supermarket or whatever, it'd be a lot different tone that you would take. And that's not just because I'm 6'2", 280. It's like, you know, it's a lot different in person, you know, but it's easier. And sometimes the tone that people intend isn't conveyed correctly. You know, I'll give them that much. But at the end of the day, it's easy to, you know, just say things when you're hiding behind a screen. And I've
gotten to the point. I don't know if it's because maybe it is. I used to take things really hard in the comments when I first started YouTubing. It really would bother me. And I've gotten to the point now, like, I still want to be me. I still want to be Walt that cares and answers comments and really, like, takes things seriously or whatever. But I got to the point now where people that are just like, you can tell right off the bat, they're trolling. They're trying to start something. Bam, hide. You'll never be able to my channel again. Bam, bam. I don't care. It's like, look, you know, let's be honest with you. We're ham tubers. We're never going to have 1 million followers. So who cares? You know what I mean? It's like, I'm here to have fun, you know. I'm not Mr. Beast. I'm you know, I'm coastal ways of wires. So like I don't ever go any bigger than I am now. I'm having fun with it. So I don't have time for the negativity now. I've just gotten to that point, and I had to learn that lesson the hard way. You don't know how many times I dove in and argued with people in the comments, and now I'm at a point where, you know, F you, I'm done. You know what I mean? Like,
well, you know, you even get it like on the air. You know, there's a lot of hams out there that hate POTA. Like when I was in North Carolina, I was on for an hour and it happened to be on a channel where they do a net on every day or whatever. Well, how the hell was I supposed to know? All of a sudden the guy starts calling for the net. I go, hey, this frequency is in use, and the guy's like threatening to, you know, call the FCC, and I'm like, listen, man, I go, I got a log that shows that I've been here for an hour. I don't mind leaving, but the protocol was, you know, hey, is this frequency in use? And hey, we're gonna do a net. Can you move? I'd be like, sure. So I finally and I agreed to move, and then the guy starts trashing me as I'm still listening, looking for a spot to go. He's giving me all this crap, and he's like, yeah, those POTA guys, I don't even know why they allow that crap to happen. And I was just like, I'm still here, buddy. I said, you were in the wrong.
I'm not a major POTA guy. I've activated 4 or 5 parks, and I do a lot of hunting or whatever. Let's be honest. POTA is saving our hobby. It really is.
Like, beat me to it,
I agree.
Yeah. And you know what else it does is I've met so many people that see me like activate in a park, and they come by and they tell me they're hams. They're just not active. Like they've still got their call sign. And then I show them, you know, if they hadn't done it in 20 years, and then they see, they're like, you got all your equipment in that backpack? I'm like, yeah, like right here. And they're like, no way. And then
Todd, the first time, it was my first year doing POTA, like 2018 when I first got in. And like all of us, you know, who knew that potato net or whatever it's called, and I respect all these nets. I do.
Yep.
And the net control, he was getting a little brassy with me. I said, then I'll move. I said, but can I get your call sign? He's like, sure. So with his broad shoulders, he tells me his call sign. I got you in the log. Thank you. And then I moved. So to me, I scored my contact. That's all I cared about. I'll QSY. There's plenty of band space for all of us. I just want your call sign so I can put you in the log for my POTA activation. You know, and I remember for one time I needed it because I think I was at like 10 or 11. I just needed one more. Just you know how
Yeah.
you don't like to do 10, you just want to do a little bit more, and you don't need it, but it's all psychological. But once I got the NCS in, boom, see you later. You're
Well,
in my log. I activated the park. We're good. After that, I just laugh now.
Well, I've been, our whole podcast was created because we just wanted to promote the hobby and get more and more people into it. So what I do now is I go to the flying field. I fly the model airplanes, and I leave my 2-meter car radio on. And I know at like around 7:00, and we go on Tuesday nights, not so much now because it's getting dark, but like in the summer, and I'll just leave it on. And it'll all of a sudden the net will come on and people start talking, or they'll have a QSO and stuff, and people are like, what is that? I'm like, oh, that's just my ham radio, I left it on. Well, I found there's 3 guys in my club that are active hams, and you'd never know. Like they're like, you're a ham? Like, yeah. So it's starting to it just gets the people talking and going, and next thing you know, they're coming on the net, or they're checking out the club, or so it's kind of, that's my whole thing, is I love getting people into it. And even the people that were in it years ago, they kind of out of it, and they don't know how much the technology has grown, how you can have such small radios and batteries and small antennas and just be able to activate or get on the air. And it's kind of, I think it's huge, and that's really what I love about it. But I'll tell you, I've had some instances on the air, especially doing POTA, where it's like I feel like I'm on the 80-meter net at 11:00 at night. Or the 80 meters, getting grumpy old men.
Kick, and I'll be very honest with you.
Yeah. So, but I mean, it's still. I mean, I think POTA. I agree with you guys. I think POTA is saving the hobby. I think it's a great thing. It's getting more and more people on the air, and people are having fun about it. It seems to be the most popular topic. Like, everyone wants to talk. I mean, we do this POTA, activate your parks POTA, and like we get more and more people every year. So.
Hey guys, how about CW? I'm not a CW, but when I look at the numbers of guys who have rebirthed, I mean, I am a rebirther when it came to sideband and FM. I'm going into a little over 30 years now of being licensed. I got licensed in the summer of 1989. By 2000-ish, I was getting burned out. I didn't know what to do, this and that. The club was falling apart through people moving, silent keys, guys, your life changes. It happens, right? Had a whole bunch of equipment just sitting there, and I'm like, I'm gonna go find something. I'm gonna find another hobby or do something else to do. And then when I found out about the POTA thing, I think I have spent more money and more time, and I don't regret it at all. I don't regret, as well as watching, getting on these shows, getting on the YouTube, and looking at all the various shows of stuff that I know I can do versus how I can live through someone else's adventure through POTAs and everything. It is just, I don't want to add it up. I really don't want to get out that, but I don't care though. I don't care because I'm having fun. And are we allowed to say the F word here, Eric, today? Are we allowed to say fun?
Sure.
Because
hey, say fun as much as you want.
we're all having fun. But when you look at, I think FT8 is another mode that I think has catapulted, not only for the guys who wanted to do FT8 just as a relaxing, HOA guys or whatever. It's now going crazy. The CW guys, it's another rebirth. Look at the Long Island CW Club and these other groups that
isn't anything new. It's just an improvement on the past. I remember, like if all you gotta do is pick up like a CQ magazine from like 1989, 1990, and it was just Packet. Remember, everything was Packet.
Oh yeah,
Packet.
Yep. PS4 31.
Right. I mean, it's just the evolution of what was Packet back then when we were, all rolling around in the 80s.
Well, we've had a lot of guys like Tim, KC1 QDK. He's got in our club. They do practice like is it Monday nights they do it?
Oh, yeah,
Eric, I think that's it.
Week,
they have they do it once a week, and we've got a lot of members that have never, within like a year ago, never did CW, and now they're doing it, and it's like they're doing it all the time, and they're practicing, and they're doing like little CW nets and practices with each other, and then they're showing up at like the parks, and they're showing up and when we're activating field day, and they're all doing it. So it's definitely been more popular in our club.
Hey, I think you guys had them on the Clubhouse, that ham radio duo, the husband and wife people.
Yes.
CW, and they just activate POTA. There you go. There's a fine example of what POTA has done. There's a couple. They're amazing. They're new CW users pretty much, and they're learning. They're showing us, activating. I mean, they inspire me. I've been a ham longer than them. They inspired me to like sharpen my CW skills and go down that road because, you know, and that's all because of POTA. You know, yeah, there you go. There's a mode that really that POTA is good for, because if you're learning CW, you can go activate POTA, and it's just like, you know, boom, 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 5999, bam, next one, 5999, bam, and keep.
Is it me? Have you guys been starting to see an insurgence of like more like married couples going out and doing POTA? Like all of a sudden my YouTube's like main dashboard blowing up with couples left and right, like, you know, all activating. And it's like cool to see. Like, I know I could never get my wife to ever go out and do a POTA, nevertheless.
What's the secret? If you're a couple, you know, give us the secret. How do you get them? How do you get the YLs into it?
I've done one video with my wife. We were actually, we were in a POTA park. We were camping, and I control operator and let her operate. You know what? That video, like of all my other, that video went straight to the top, like bam. You know what I mean? And the last number one at the time, I was like, holy cow! I don't know what it is, but
the female factor, man. That's what happened.
Yeah.
20 years to get my wife just to get a technician license. I'm slowly trying to get her into getting her general, but she was able to make her first contact during field day this year, and she did a really great job at it overall. So I think it's just a lot of it for sometimes the wives. Even if I know a lot of people who have husbands and wives who are licensed, but it's just getting that fear of them getting through that and making that contact is a lot of it. So, you know, it's just like anybody else for the first time getting on the air, starting out slow and getting them used to it, and, you know, and get rid of the sad hams that are yelling at them. But, you know, anytime you can get somebody on the air, especially your wife or another YL, people love hearing the other females out there. I mean, if I hear a female, I'm activating from home here doing hunting or whatever, I'm playing around, I hear a female in the air, I will pop over to them right away. So
yeah, my wife could break any pile up. I mean, I had her on there with the control operator, and she goes, K4OGO, time stop, man. The C part.
Todd, don't mention it. I don't want to hear it, Todd. Don't say it. Don't say it. Don't say it.
Eric's daughter
don't say it. Stop.
You guys all know about Eric's little trick there, how he gets contacts when he's in a slump.
How's that?
I heard it on the podcast.
Yeah, he has his daughter recording calling CQ POTA, and he hits the play button, and all of a sudden they all come out of the woodwork.
They do.
I've heard other people do that too. Yeah.
It's my break
Eric,
glass.
I tried to talk my wife into getting her tech, and my wife, this is my wife's response. I like being Mrs. K4OGO. I like that call sign. I don't want my own. I want you to handle the mic and just let me talk. I'm like, okay. Like this morning, it was funny. We were talking about it this morning. Someone made a comment on, I don't know, one of my social media posts. We need to see Allison like build an antenna. You just did a video of you building an antenna. We want to see her build an antenna. So she saw it, right? She goes, I want to build an antenna. I want to build a seashell antenna because I love seashells. I'm thinking, how the hell am I going to build? This is my wife. And this is the woman thing or whatever. So you might see. There you go. Ham Radio Duo. We were just talking about you guys.
You always said Beetlejuice,
yeah, but so somewhere in there in the next month or so, you're going to see me the Aqua Alley Mrs. K4OGO seashell antenna. I have to design this thing.
Wow.
So funny enough is that talking about getting wives on the air and engaged here. I don't know, Eric, if you listened to the very last podcast that just came through in the very beginning, I did a little advertisement for ABR Industries, and there was a female voice in there. That was
I heard that.
Great job.
My first comment is like, my gosh, he's already bumped his press and advertising level through the roof. But second of all, I was like, wait a minute, that's a female voice. How did he do that?
My wife, I got her. She came down to see what I was doing. It's like you need to that's too monotone. You need to bump it up. I was like, well, then you do it. So she did. Her second try is like, bam, right on. And it's like, it sounded really good, didn't it?
Yeah, sounds like you got a good read for someone to be able to do all your marketing.
Yeah, exactly. So
it kept my interest. That's all I have to say is like I listened the whole way through.
Good, yeah, I thought it was interesting. So it's kind of fun, but yeah. So it's great to get. Like I said, I was excited as could be when I got her on the air for field day. So it's always a great time. So
cool.
How many wives or spouses are licensed? Anybody?
My daughter's licensed, but
my wife's not licensed, but my sister is.
Yeah.
but she rarely gets on the air, and when she does, it's only 2 meters. So I'm trying to ease her into the POTA thing. I'd love to take. She's been on POTA activations with me before, my sister, but she won't operate. She's still mic shy. But
So I
we'll
just
get her. We'll get her one of these days.
This week.
What was the name of the maid on the Brady Bunch? Alice. I'm
Alice.
Alice. Somebody was just making a comment that I'm the center. I'm Alice the maid. I'm cleaning up for this guy.
Yeah, my oldest son got licensed when he was 11. He's a sophomore in high school now. He's not into it as much, but we still get together a couple times a year, you know, and go play radio. He's not as active as he was when he first got licensed. He was always checking into local nets regularly, and we were going out for more POTAs. But we always, you know, our thing tends to be like around the holidays and vacations. We'll always go activate together and stuff, you know. And it's for him, it's like riding a bike. You just, you know, it all comes back to him and stuff. But you know, it's, you know, as he's becoming, you know, he turns 15 this month. It's you know, he's got different interests.
Yeah.
Girls, is it?
Getting on the air just a little bit. I actually got my GMRS license. I decided to go ahead and get that this week for, you know, just to have it out there, especially after talking about preparedness the last couple of podcasts and stuff. It's good to have just another alternative. And I realize there's now a GMRS repeater in my area here, but it's also trying to find a way to say, hey, wife, just take the handheld, just throw the GMRS handheld in your car and find ways to have her maybe try and talk on the air a little bit more and not be so have to be on the ham radio, you know, repeater or something, but just maybe just GMRS between you and me and that sort of thing and make it a little easier for her just to try and work her into that a little bit more. So just a thought.
You know, I think another way to get people into ham radio and getting them used to being on the air is having an active club repeater or an active repeater, because our club repeater is getting pretty active. I mean, people are talking on it all day long. People are talking on it on the ride into work, on the ride back. We do the net every night at 7 p.m. that people have the opportunity to get on it. And I really think that you start seeing people, the newer people get on and they start talking, and next thing you know, they're doing net controls. And then they're like, hey, you know, I'd love to do a POTA activation with you. And that's how you kind of like, it's like you're throwing the chum out there. They do the 2 meters and then you sync them with the, all right, now we're going to go do some HF and you're going to see some real radio. So I think that.
Eric, where are you located for that to be happening?
You talking about me or where our POTA meetup is?
I'm sorry. I'm blind. Who was just talking? I thought it was you.
Oh, that was Todd.
Todd,
Yeah.
where are you at for your local area?
The repeater's in Bedford, New Hampshire. So just south of Manchester, kind of, what is it, northwest of Nashua. So we're not, you know, we're southern New Hampshire, but there's another repeater, the Epsom repeater. I think it's W1ASS. That thing has a huge footprint. I mean, we've gotten it like North Country. I've gotten it in Maine, almost in Portland. I could hear it all the way out to like Peterborough and almost Keene. Like, it's huge. And a lot of guys have used that. And then from there, they've been kind of getting on ours and vice versa. So we now have 2 really active repeaters that people are on pretty consistently.
I think we have a needle in a haystack at that point, because I find that repeater use, even in like the major area here in the Springfield, Massachusetts area, the repeaters are kind of dying. I mean, there's not as much use. I mean,
that's where I was going.
Yeah. Sorry, Walt. I didn't mean to see your thunder.
Before I got here, I chirped my handheld for everything in Providence. I'm real close to Providence right now, Providence, Rhode Island. Man, I have kerchunked. I've been K4OGO listening every damn repeater I can. And I've been here almost 5 months, and I have not made a contact on any of the repeaters in the Providence, Rhode Island. So if you're watching,
try the Plymouth repeater in Mass.
And the Scituate repeater in Rhode Island too.
The Scituate repeater.
That one used to be real active. I can't hear it here anymore. But that one used to be real good.
That sounds cool. I really want to go to Scituate too. You guys know that whole Scituate story with radio back in World War II. Pretty cool. I want to visit. I know it's nothing but a house now. Everything's gone, but what a cool place.
Yeah. So my point was just our repeater, you know, when COVID hit, they started doing a net every night just to kind of keep in touch. And it's been going on for 4 years.
That's cool.
And the club members get on, the new members get on, people listen to it on like the scanners when they're, you know, studying, and then they get on, and it's just very welcoming. And then, you know, you just start hearing people. So it's, even though our repeater is not the best repeater in the world, it's got a lot of faults when it comes to certain areas that can't hear it and you're pretty close to it. But for the most part, people are on it. And I just noticed the new guys that get on, they start talking more and more, and they get more comfortable, talking to the guys they know. So then they start thinking,
it breaks the ice, doesn't it?
Yeah, and then they get on HF, and that it's like a little different, but they're used to be pushing the button and talking, and I think that's the biggest thing for newbies, to like just break that ice, get out there and doing it. So
absolutely.
And then, what do we do on the repeaters? A lot of times we're talking about, like Eric and I will be talking about an activation we're doing or something. And then they chime in like, oh, I got to do that one of these days. And hey, what antenna do you use? And another conversation. So it just kind of all fills in with each other. And then everyone's now doing POTA, and everyone's on the net, and it just keeps the bands being used, which I think is important. If you don't use the bands, if people just stopped using 2 meters or repeaters, then we're going to lose it. Right. Yeah. So you gotta keep it rolling and using it. So that's my
I've got this dream, guys. I have this dream and this fantasy, and you guys are going to start seeing it on my channel real soon.
Should I put the filter on Walt first?
11 meters. Now that 11 meters are CB in the United States,
all right.
There's
we definitely have to put the filter on. You're talking about CB.
now that we have FM, not the CB has FM. I think the 11 meter band with FM can go in a new direction and get away from all of whatever it was or what people say or whatever. And I really wish people would like grab onto that and a new wave of CB/11 meters would happen with the FM side of it, just like with GMRS and FRS and everything that are going radios. If people would only understand that at 28 megahertz, you're going to do more than you would with needing a repeater or whatever. I'm kind of want to maybe go on a mission to get FM. I will quit calling it CB. We'll just say 11 meter FM going. I'd like to see more hams get FM. They're cheap. Get an FM radio and start playing around. I think there's something there. I really do. And unfortunately, you just don't see it. And I know, we're talking CB, but I'll be honest with you. I came from the 11 meter world. That what made me go that, 11 years ago, I was, I wasn't licensed. I was on the top of that hill playing 11 meters like everybody else. And then when the solar cycle after 24 came down to the valley, I got my license and moved over, started operating on 20 and, saw the ways of being I wasn't an outlaw anymore. I was a legal beagle and became a ham. But I really think there's something there with the new law, with FM. We'll quit thinking about Good Buddy and 10-4 and truckers and all that. I would love to see the 11 meter band and FM become something like GMRS and FRS, and people start using it. I think there's something there. I really do. Maybe we can start a Southern New England FM group or whatever.
We've already got a Connecticut CB group that's pretty active. So we start putting the bug in their ear and we can grow it from there. But yeah. I'll make one more comment about 11 meters, and not so much FM in particular, but sideband. If you want to learn how to work a pileup or work through a pileup or adverse conditions, get on 11 meters on sideband and start shooting skip and see what you can do. Yeah. Even if you screw up, nobody's going to yell at you. You know what I mean? It's just one of those things. And when you listen on 11 meters and you try to shoot skip on sideband, you'll hear 4, 5, 6 conversations all at once. And you can train your ear to find that station that you're trying to work through all that noise. It will make you a better ham operator.
Does POTA actually have an 11 meter certificate? They should.
Let's do it. Let's put it in there.
Yeah, we should operate 11 meters on POTA.
Guys, when you think about it, since a lot of us came from CB, I came from the early or mid to late 70s CB into the early 80s. And building Go boxes, I look like today, I got frustrated on a Go box I'm building because I messed up on my dimensions. No big deal. Send it back to Amazon. The box I want. I got another one coming here next week. But my point is this. And Rob is excellent as far as training your ear. Because I think as a ham radar, I don't care whether you're doing CW or voice. I don't care what you're doing. You still got to train your ear. You still got to train it. But you think back then, Rob, when we were on 38 sideband and all these other channels, we really didn't know about the solar cycles. Probably back then, that was probably like solar cycle 22, maybe 21, whatever it was. We knew nothing about where we were in that sine wave of the solar cycle. And now here as hams, we're paying more attention to it. Where guys are playing more on 6 meters at a certain time. They're going after this, they're going after that. The tropospheric ducting and the meteor scattering stuff. Meanwhile, as CB, we just didn't know what we were doing. Now, as we got older, we're kind of looking back now, and I'm like, my God, like you, Rob, I remember just listening and building an 11-meter beam for that. And now I look back, and even like I said, for myself, I was working for, believe it or not, a potato chip company, and there was no radio in the truck. I found an old AC Delco radio. I put it in a tackle box. I had a deep cycle marine battery. Then eventually I wired it to the truck, and I didn't tell the boss. Sticking antennas on the mirror mounts and this and that. Had the CB in there. Then when I got licensed, of course, got to throw a 2-meter in there. So we're always doing something, and there's always in that origin. But now as we get older, we kind of refresh back saying, wow, if I had known that back then about propagation, it just kind of, again, the fun just continues at a different level now with it. And
you want to hear some great operators? Go to 27.5. Go to what they call triple nickels. It's free band. It's outside of the thing. But go listen to those guys. Man, those guys are amazing. I mean, they'll call CQ, give their whatever. This is 26 Division 355. Please QSY to 558 or whatever. I mean, they're just great operators, and it's interesting to listen to those guys. And I came from that world, so I got no problem saying it now. But that I enjoy it, and I would like to see. I think there's so many ham radio operators over there, and I also think there's a lot of production in far as radio building. I mean, can you imagine if Stryker, all these export radios, can you imagine if someone like Stryker or President, I've even said this to the guys at President Radio, if you would make a radio that was like 20, 17, 15 meter, like they have now with the 10, 11, 12s, if you would move that, how hard would it be to make a President radio that would do 20, 17, and 15, or 40, 20, and 17 for $299? Can you imagine the market they would hit with those radios? Yeah.
You're right, because Unit N did that. When my first HF radio was a Unit N mobile radio doing 10, 11, 12. You can kind of put 15 was a stretch. It changed the whole receive on it. But again, it made it fun. That's the whole thing. You just want to talk. You just want to make a contact regardless. And when you hit that guy, like for me here in the Northeast, you work somebody down along the Atlantic coast, you get into Florida, and you keep on going south. Then you start working somebody in the Caribbean. I know I still get excited on POTA working the guys in the Caribbean. I don't care where you are in the Caribbean. It excites me. It rebirths me. And I think back, man, there I was when I was like 14 years old, 15 years old, chasing Skip. What's the difference between DX and Skip?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? At the end of the day, it's all the same.
Yeah, I had I put the comment up from Brian earlier talking about 10 meters. And I think, I know Walt said it on his channel, and a lot of us are experiencing it, 10 meters, and I'm sure the same. I don't know a lot about 11, but I can only imagine what a time to be, playing radio on 10 meters and 11 meters, and taking advantage of propagation, the solar cycle, where we are in the cycle, but also just the time of year too, the fall. 10 meters has been lit. It's awesome. And that's a great way to, if, people are getting that taste of, getting that skip on 11 and wow, I want to do more, that this is fun. I like this. Well, then,
and that's kind of why I'd like to see people get into it now, because that 11 years ago, I was just an 11-meter guy, or 10, 11 years ago. And as the solar cycle, I learned at that point, as the solar cycle started dropping, and I cut on the radio for weeks to months with nothing on it, it forced me to come over and become a ham. And I think right now, if we embrace these
gateway,
people,
the gateway,
5 years from now, when 11 is not like it is right now because the solar cycle is going down, these people are going to become new hams, and it's time to stop the ham versus CB thing. And listen, I say it all the time. 11 meters is just a band between two ham bands, 10 and 12. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
These guys just, they're there, and there's some good operators. They really are. Let's face it. Izzo, Rob, we all came from that world. Just earlier than the ones that are out there now.
I was the crazy guy on the lawnmower who had the big ball mount, 102-inch whip. I thought I was crazy, and I had the headphones on my Cobra. Actually, start off. For those CBers, Tiger 40 was after Convoy and after Smokey and the Bandit came out. CB sales went crazy.
Yes.
Antennas, all the peripherals, and there I am at the truck stop buying all this stuff. My mother thought I was crazy, but hey, I was cutting the grass. That was the most important thing. Keep the yard nice. And here I am trying to make, and guys can't hear me because of the noise. Shut off the lawnmower. And again, I was doing crazy radio, which is still what I do now, because now my ham alert goes off. Stop what I'm doing to go run inside or run to the back deck to go make a contact. Nothing has changed, I think. I don't think anything has changed. We're just doing it maybe a little bit different way. Different way.
Yep. I had a radio on my bicycle. We used to do 11-meter fox hunting.
Yeah.
Wow.
We used to do 11-meter fox hunting back in the day. And it's a whole thing. It's a whole big story in this
You had
town.
hair back then, I bet.
What's that?
You had hair back. I bet you had hair back then.
Oh, yeah.
Long hair.
Yeah.
Hippie.
Yeah, right. But
I want to see a picture.
Well, I have a picture of the bike somewhere, but I was driving around in my truck and I'm like, this guy's hiding somewhere I can't get my truck to. I'm going to find. I put it set up on my bike. I didn't have a 102-inch whip on it, but I had a fire stick and a battery. And I would ride that bike around on Saturday nights looking for this guy. It was
Hey, just like every ham operator, I knew when the display on the CB was going dimmer and dimmer and dimmer. What were we doing? We were draining the battery. Again, we didn't have what we have. We didn't have the lifetime batteries that we have nowadays. So, and plus you're running. AM is a little bit more forgiving than FM. But while I do agree with you, it might be one of those field of dream things. I think once that group that's so used to the AM noise, they go over to FM and they're going to hear much more quieter. That was the first thing when I got licensed with 2 meter simplex. I loved it. And I started experimenting more on 2 meter simplex. Then I got into 220. It's such a gateway of where you go based on your interests. So,
what you talking about noise on AM, Izzo?
But 7.290? Was it 7.290 or 285? What is it?
Usually you're up around there. Yeah, the higher end of 40 meters for that. Yeah.
So,
guys,
Walt,
I'm going to grab a beverage. I'll be right back.
Okay.
I got a question when you get back, Walt.
He'll be back. He just jumped out. Yeah. So, all right. So, who's with me? We got to petition the POTA group to put 11 meters in.
Let's do it. Who was it? The guy in Connecticut, NZ1J, got
NZ1J
infrared, right? Or whatever it was.
Infrared.
Yeah,
I was there that day. And I said, his name is Dave. I says, Dave, you are stirring the pot, but I love it because how do you say no? Now he's a scientific guy, so he can explain the whole. But he made it.
Oh yeah, I used to work with Dave. He's a great guy.
He's a great
guy. We'll have to ask him. We'll have to ask him how he did it, and we'll do it for 11.
Yeah. I can only imagine. One thing is you always get the old guys complaining about how we didn't get our licenses the right way and through CW and stuff like that. I can only are we going to see that same thing out of the POTA crowd? I mean, there are pretty much our age group, most of them. They're going to be like the old guys. Oh, you're ruining POTA by putting 11 meters in.
They'll get over it.
I know.
How much fun we're having with it, and they'll join in.
Yep.
Marvin makes a good point regarding GMRS. I got my GMRS license around 2 years ago. Programmed a whole bunch of stuff into my radio, this and that. We've got some GMRS repeaters here in Connecticut. They're fairly active. I don't have anything really that close to me. I hear a lot of guys on the island, Long Island and everything. I catch them. But I think the GMRS people, depending on how they're going to use it, I think they're going to get hungry too. I really do, because I think they're going to see the limitations, and they're going to learn just like all of us, and we're still learning. But that 462 simplex is only, that line of sight is really not a long length. Maybe in the flatlands, maybe I being in the fire department, we have tactical channels like that. I teach the guys about that, about line of sight and when to use it, when not to use it. It's a good tool in the toolbox. Don't get me wrong, but it's not going to solve all of your communication needs that you want. So I can see the GMRS guys start getting hungry too, and all they got to do is just get their technician license. Just get that first license in. And there's so many, and like down here in Connecticut. One second, Todd. There's so many repeaters we have here that are ghosts right now. It's frustrating. I miss it. And that's why I went over to D-Star and DMR, because there's a little bit more activity there for my drive in and my drive home. But I remember those days, and I miss it. I really miss those morning. You have 30 people, and then in the afternoons around 3:30 it starts to grow. By 4:30 in the afternoon, man, there you go, full blown again. After dinner, guys would be running to their radios to get back on the radio and do something in the evening. But again, I think the GMRS guys eventually will come over. I really do, or a vast majority will.
Walt, got a quick question for you. We were talking about 11 meters a little bit ago. What is the distance you think on that? What type of coverage area are you going to get with that 11 meters roughly on FM or
Probably, like you would. It really depends. I mean, you're going to get some skip. I mean, I've worked at 10 meter. I've worked FM 10 meter repeater in Switzerland before from here, from Virginia. So you'll have that odd skip. But I think more or less, if you guys remember the CB days, 5 to 10, 15 miles around you is really all you're going to do.
Antenna dependent. I think antenna and landscape dependent will determine everything. I really do.
I just didn't know if you're looking at 30, 40 miles, or you're going to get 10, 15, whatever. And
it's like Izzo just said, that's antenna dependent. My Jeep, I've got the little two foot fire stick. That's that's not much, but you know what? I've SSB. I've had a couple contacts in Jamaica from here, Rhode Island, with that little tiny 2 foot antenna. So
low is that low takeoff angle, and boom, and the conditions were right.
Yep.
Well, they claim that it's a 5/8 wave antenna. If you ever look at the fire stick too, it says whatever you want to call it. It's 5/8 wave coiled.
When I became licensed, there was a huge skip, and I wasn't a general. I was just a technician. I was going through my radio, and I thought I hit a Boston repeater, and I was so psyched. Found out it was in Newfoundland, 850 miles away, and I was on an HT with a mag mount antenna on my metal roof with the coax coming through my window. And I thought the guys knew I was like a newbie and they're just messing with me, but I went along with it, whatever. And then all of a sudden, like a week or two later, I get the QSL card. Hey, thanks for the DX joining our net tonight. Please join us anytime. I was like, you got to be kidding me. So that
metal roof was doing the draw. Was doing live, man.
Yeah, but that was like that's when I started like, wow. I'm like, I can't believe I just talked to someone 850. And then my first HF contact was at field day with Eric, and he forced me to get on. Come on, you got to do it. And I hit Pennsylvania, and I came back. I told him, I'm like, holy crap. I'm like, I actually made a contact at Pennsylvania. You know how far that is? And like now I'm like, Pennsylvania. You're like, I might as well just like yell at the guy sitting on the park bench.
Yeah.
So that's how I really got hooked into it. And then now, like last summer I was, working those overnight shifts and talking the 100 watts, talking to New Zealand and Australia all night long, 5.9, with a wire in the air. I mean, that was pretty cool for me. I mean, that's like 10,000 miles. I mean, that's a good.
Todd, isn't it amazing, Todd? When you're in you mentioned it earlier before, and we've all done it. We're in our POTA park. We're in our zone. I call it the zone. You're in your zone. You're doing your thing, and people come up to you, and you take a break a little bit, or you kind of talk and whatever. When you talk to them, and you know what the first thing they're going to say, what countries, who did you work? And you say, when you start showing them your log, your photo log or whatever, or something from the past, if you have the time, like Russia, into Europe, into Asia, all of a sudden their eyes light up.
Mm-hmm.
And it's amazing. And I tell them, yes, it's still a thrill. About a month ago, I worked these two Russian guys back to back on 20 meters, like around 10:30 at night. I'm getting ready to shut everything off. And of course, you know, just when I thought I was out, it's bringing me back in, you know what I mean? And I'm chasing these guys and, you know, I'm watching the signal levels go up and go down. And I'm like, oh my God, it's getting late. But man, I hung in there like a good fisherman, I guess. And all of a sudden, man, you work them. And that thrill, like your first contact from New Hampshire to Pennsylvania is still thrilling you. And matter of fact, even today, this afternoon, I worked a guy in Pennsylvania. I didn't bother to tell him. I worked him on 2 watts. 2 watts. I didn't even say I'm QRP. I just threw out my call sign. It's like, yeah, Don, you're 5'9". Yeah, you're 5'9" here on the Connecticut coastline. Enjoy your activation 7-3. Yeah, I mean, it just still amazes me, and that thrill is still there, regardless of the distance. Sometimes.
I tell you,
and people
I just said the same thing, Don, the other day. I think I was on Livestream. Probably 2 pages of my logbook is this one guy, and I know probably everybody here has probably worked him before, but I still get excited every time I work him, and that's Sugar 5-1, David.
5-1 DX. Yes. and what's he pumping out?
I still get excited every time I'm talking.
But he's pumping out. Hey, Walt, I agree with you, because he's pumping out over 1,000 watts. I think he's got. I keep forgetting to go to his QRZ page. I'm sure he's got some wonderful investment, a lot of dollars, and I appreciate that. I'm jealous. If I had that money, I'd be doing it too. But I look at it from the other side. Here I am working him. I've worked him QRP. I've worked him with 50 watts. I've worked him with 100 watts. And, you know, if he could still hear me and acknowledge me, that's good enough for me. Yeah. And again, boom, like, yes. You know?
Yeah.
I always say that. I may look happy with my G90, but deep down inside, I want a hex beam and a kilowatt. You know what I mean?
Now, last month, and I'll connect this in with some of the talk about 11 meter FM, was last month I did my first 10 meter AM contact, and that was from New York down to Texas with just a mag mount and a quarter wave whip on the roof.
That's
and
amazing.
so I'm going to guess that's going to be comparable what you can do on 10 meter FM AM with what you can do with skip when you get up to 11 meters. And I mean, that was just, I've done, you know, maybe half a dozen or so 40 meter late shift AMs. Right. But last month during a AM QSO party, it was the first time I got outside of, you know, I was like, I want to do something different. I want to see what it's like on 20. I want to see what it's like on 10. So I played on both those bands. It was wild. But when I do that AM thing, and this kind of goes to like the whole, you know, use it or lose it mentality, whether you're talking about different bands or modes and stuff. The whole reason I started doing the AM thing is Shane mentioned it on Clubhouse in the beginning of the year. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go out. I'm going to do a Podon AM. Let's try this. Right. And now a couple other people are doing it. But when I do it, honestly, like a third to half the contacts, people are like, you know what? You're my first AM contact, or I haven't done this in decades. Thank you so much. This is so cool to hear a park on AM or whatever, you know, and it's something it's a bandwidth hog. It's a power hog. It's not efficient or anything, but it's fun. And it sounds good.
We kind of had the same similar effect there, Mike. Yeah. Like we've one of our members in our club was like, oh, we have like an Aries net that's like the first of the month. And he's like, what can we do that we normally do on a repeater? He's like, well, let's do a 6 meter net. And so him and I literally have gone out and done 2 6 meter nets. And by the time we did the second one, people were like, why can't we do this every week? Like, you know, when, you know, so it's basically spurred on a bunch of other people outside of, you know, our little circle to go out and start doing 6 meter nets. So I'm like, dude, I'm going to go support you. I don't care if I can, you know, if it's just, you know, if it's not in the, you know, the time and season for 6 meters, just go out and play 6 meters. So yeah.
But Eric, when you look at the number, Eric, most of our equipment already does it. The average HF rig already, most HF rigs already have 6 meters built, including mine. My end feds 6 through 40. but we don't get on it, and I, including myself, and sometimes like I'm like, maybe I should just start spotting myself on the POTA page, 6 meters, and let's just, you know, in the sideband portion, and just see who's there. I mean,
you don't know unless you try. And when you catch those openings on 6, like I caught it one time, I'm blessed to have my son have soccer practice in US 6532. So I've always got the radio with me.
Such a good father. You're such a good father. Look at him.
And it's the summer. I'm like, it's supposed to be a 6 meter season. I'm like, let's start off on 6, and maybe I'll just try FT8. And I as soon as I saw the waterfall, I was like, oh, it's open, and I had a blast. And that was like the first time I experienced outside of a contest, like a real, like 6 meter opening, you know, completely organic, just like, oh wow, this is, and it's so cool. And you just got to get out and do those things, whether it's 6 meters or AM. I've gone out. I love doing the VHF contest, but I've gone out outside of the VHF contest to do POTAs on 900 megahertz and some stuff like that. And when I did that, I had people regionally in, you know, Western New York, but there's a big VHF contingent in Southern Ontario. And these guys we're talking on groups.io and emails like, this is great. We should do a regular activity night for 900 megahertz once a week or once a month or something, because there's a perfect example of, if you don't use it, you're going to lose it, because right now the FCC is going to weigh carving up that band, which right now is shared with hams and ISM use, industrial, scientific, medical use, and everything. There's a lot of, you know, from cordless phones that I grew up with, you know, in the 80s or the 90s, the 900 megahertz ones, to,
you know, they're using it now.
Stuff, but yeah, use it or lose it. You know, get out there and then encourage others to do things and have fun.
They're starting to use the receiver. Some receivers now in the FPV stuff, which is the first person view, are using 900 megahertz as the signal. So there's a lot of people using that, just maybe not talking on it. You know, you figure the businesses that, and now that what is that law or the thing that they're trying to do, that big business trying to take it over, and right, they want to
we use the 915 megahertz band for or in that area, whatever, for like farm navigation and agriculture and stuff. So
so anyway, they're definitely using it. I mean, that's how I got into ham radio. It was COVID, and I do the FPV, which is the first person view. You put these goggles on, and it's like you're in the aircraft and you fly it around. The signal is on the technician band, the video signal, the feed from the aircraft, the thing. And I've watched so many of these guys' videos and stuff, and everyone in my club that does it, and none of them are hams. And I said, you know, you're all flying this illegally. You know, the FCC comes down here. But that's how I got into it. And you'd be surprised at how many people are in the flying model aircraft and ham radio. I mean, I found like 3 guys in my club that I had no idea were hams.
I'll tell you what, one of the most fun times I've ever had in ham radio was on 6 meters. I was it was June 2023. I was in Poland that month working, and one thing about Europe that bothered me the whole time I was over there is there's just too much contesting in Europe. Every weekend it was like I would like there would be like like we have QSO parties here. There'd be like a French contest, and you'd hear all these guys, and all they wanted to do was talking to France. Here I am in Poland, and I'm hearing like, you know, Israel, you know, Saudi Arabia. I'm like, oh, I want to get them in the log. Oh, no, I'm trying to get France. It's the France contest, you know, whatever. So I would watch that. But one weekend was a 6 meter. It was June of 2023. It was a 6 meter. You know what? I'm going to make a simple 6 meter vertical dipole, put it all the way to the top of the pole I had, and put it out in the backyard. And I worked the 6 meter contest in Europe. And man, how it was just so cool. Mike, you were saying, you know, the organic just 6 meters happening or whatever. It's still pretty cool, like, you know, a contest like that on 6. And going the next route, and this is what I want to do. I think it's January or February. There's a top band 160 contest coming up, and I want to build something that's a compromise, but I want to go out on the beach and work. I don't have any contacts on top band on 160. And I think just like I did on 6 when I was in Europe, I think I'm going to try to make that weekend of the 160 contest just go make some contacts with it as well. So yeah, I wish something organic would happen there too as well. But there are good. What I'm getting at is those contests are good opportunities to like enjoy bands you don't normally operate on.
There's a
and
lot
same
of
thing. Oh, go ahead, Rob. Sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say there's a lot of activity on 6 meters here in Connecticut and maybe a little bit into Western Mass. And it's mostly local. Like we've got my ham radio club friends are on 6 meters every night, sideband, just rag chew. And they're on every night. And then people are tuning around and they hear us and they come in and they say hello. And so
Rob,
we generate activity that way. What's
Rob,
that?
What's the frequency? What frequency
50,
are they on?
50.165, usually around 7 p.m.
Check that out.
Okay.
Like here, but yeah.
But even that, we have an AM net every Wednesday, 50.4. There's an AM net, and that's been for years. That's been there for 20 years.
Nice.
The guys bring out the old tube gear and stuff, and it's a lot of fun. And then there's other nets, and then even the repeaters around here. I've just put in the 6 meter radio in my car, and I use the 6 meter repeater. There's a linked system. I can communicate with my buddies in town all the way at my office, which is up near Boston, 80 miles away. So we're having a lot of fun on 6 here in Southern New England. And it's not DX. It's all local. You know, it's like get on the air and let's rag chew type of a thing.
Yep. Yeah. Well, one of the nice things about, when you get to like 6 and above and you get into like the upper bands, what I've learned the last year or so doing these contests and stuff is that, you start realizing how much easier it is to get gain. You start thinking about antennas like completely different than you would on HF, like going up and being able to operate 900 megahertz with a 3-watt HT, but a 19 element Yagi with like 19 or 14 dB gain. Like, I mean, it takes an HT at 3 watts, and now you're putting out like around 50 or so, not to do math on stream, especially after a couple drinks, but like I mean it makes a big difference. And you can do that when you get into some of the higher bands and you're dealing with higher frequencies, and it's just so much. Like I could never hike up with a 19 element Yagi for 10 meters or something like that, but you can do some of that stuff, not 19 elements for 2 meters or 6, but it gets easier and easier to construct these antennas because they're smaller and smaller. And I've learned a lot just from that and understanding principles of gain and stuff, things that I never really cared much about when I was first getting into ham radio and potent. I was just, on 20 and 40 with just, a wire or a mag mount or whatever it was. But you can learn a lot when you start to kind of, as I said earlier, get outside your comfort zone and try different things, different modes, different antennas, different bands.
I even, for a while there, I was playing on 60 meters sideband. For
oh yeah, I remember you were.
I love
and Rob, I know you and Rob, you and I talked to each other a few times, and I know it's a weird split, and you kind of got to pay attention. But once you do, or if you lock it into a memory, into your radios, if you have that capability, 60 meters is really a very interesting band because it gives you sort of like you're in between 40 and 80, so you kind of look that way. Yeah, some antennas. You're stretching it. I turned down the power to like 30 watts, but Rob, we proved it worked. You were able to hear me. Who cares if I'm at the point, I don't care if someone's 5'9". If I can hear you, I really don't care. I know that's such a psychological, and that goes into a whole nother topic of our hobby, the pros and cons of it. But, sometimes I don't want to look at that display. I know we're automatically drawn like a bug into the headlight, or a deer into a headlight. But man, just once you can just, again, train your ears to start listening. If you got a good receiver, or if you're in an area that's really quiet too, sometimes it doesn't happen. But man, 60 meters is really another on the other side of the spectrum. So you're going to go from 6 to 60, and you can still do it. You can really, really still. Well, I have one 160 contact here from my house. Did it off my DX Commander. Guy told me you're only 3x3, but I could hear you loud and clear. And it was the dead of winter. The band was just so quiet. He was in Pennsylvania or on the Ohio border, but still, once again, it kind of made me saying, but I just don't have the property here to start running wire after wire after wire. I mean, how am I going to get all that wire out? But I mean, I wish I had 1 or 2 acres, and I think maybe for that band, between you guys or if there's anybody in the chat who's done anything on 160, I don't think you really need to have that antenna all that high.
Yeah.
It wouldn't surprise me if some guy said I only have it up 6 or 8 feet off the ground. I think just get the wire out, get that amount of wire out. I think.
Yeah.
You
I've
know,
done it once with.
Hollywood.
Sorry. Go ahead, Walt.
I'm sorry. Greg, you guys know Hollywood, WECB 640, whatever. He's in a lot of the chats, whatever. He was telling me there's a 160 net here in Rhode Island that nightly, like 8 o'clock or something. I was going to try to like go find those guys if I could get in on them.
1920 or 1930. There's a bunch of guys in southern New England.
Yeah.
Yeah, on 160. But
that's cool. I'll check that out. Don,
take it with a grain of salt. There's a couple of personalities on there. I'll leave it at that.
Oh, yeah.
It is 160.
It's double 80.
Speaking of personalities, Don, you were talking about 60 meters. Where I live down on the coast, I live in the very southeastern corner of Virginia. I mean, I'm like 15 miles from the North Carolina line. That's why you see a lot of my videos on the Outer Banks. I basically almost live in the Outer Banks of North Carolina down there. But there are a group of guys in North Carolina and Virginia in the Blue Ridge Mountains, that whole stream there, that every night they work 60 meters. And once, I'm probably there for a while from my home QTH, I jump on and they get so excited that they were talking to somebody on the coast instead of up and down the mountain range or whatever. And these guys were like the nicest. You're talking about personalities, Rob. These guys on 60 meters, man. I guess I formulated my opinion of 60 meters because of how awesome they were. They were great operators. They were super nice guys. You know what I mean? And yeah, Izzo, 60 is awesome. My experience with 60 has been awesome.
I wish I had the property here. I mean, I should do it more. But just like I think sometimes we have so much in front of us. That's why when Mike was talking about his experience, we have so much in front of us. And I think that it's like going into the candy store. You have that sensory overload of what band should I play with, and then if you don't hear things on your top 3, 4, 5 bands that you normally go on, what do? We shut off the radio when we should probably be exploring more with either a different mode and or a different band. And shame on us for not doing that. And
especially right now. Right now is the time to explore. Let's be honest with you. We're all talking about 11 meters and 10 meters and all this stuff. 5 years from now, we'll all just be talking about the 20-meter band and the 40-meter band. That's all we'll be talking about.
How the days used to be good, yeah.
Yeah.
Back in the day.
Back in the day, right, Todd?
Yeah, back in the day.
If anyone on stream or anyone in the chat watching, or if you have the ICOM 7300, one of the best features of it is the emergency mode, and that's where I've made a bunch of my 60 and my only 160 meter contact. And I was when I got the N9 SAB 40/6 off center fed dipole, I brought it out to a park to test it out. And one of the things I did 2 things with it. First of all, I wanted to make contacts on every band. I made contacts, I think 9 bands, 6 through 60 meters, or maybe 6 through 80. Math is hard, but I mean, I put that thing to the paces, and it was because the emergency mode. Now you have a 10-to-1 tuner, but you're limited to 50 watts. But if you got an off center fed, you got a dipole, 30 feet in the air, you'll be okay with lower power. And I figured I'd call out on 60, see what happened, and probably nothing, and I'm gonna have to make FT8 or something. And there was a net on 60 meters. These guys are great. I forget the name of the net, but I think it revolved around those are really interested in military radios and stuff. Yeah. But it was great. I got into the net and made that contact on 60. And then the one time I did 160 meters, I was out at a park. I think it might have been in the winter, but I had an 80 meter end fed. just one of the 10-10s, 49-to-1s with 130 feet or so of wire, and put it into emergency mode. Boom, it tuned it up, and made one, maybe two contacts. I think just one though. For fun. But I mean, that's a nice feature, and it's a great way to just kind of test out some things. It's you're not going to want to rely on it all the time, but like to RF around and find out like that,
Have some fun.
and see what works, or make those quick contacts. That's the way to do it. It's fun.
See, I have this fantasy of finding an abandoned AM radio transmitter tower that's abandoned.
There was one in New Jersey or something like that.
Yeah, going up to it and hooking my G90 up to it, tuning it, and getting on 160 and just talking everywhere. You know what I mean? Because I got like the ultimate 160 antenna right here. That would be awesome.
I know before we were talking about ground antennas and the amount of radios. I think Callum did a really nice job of breaking it down for us. As far as I remember, we were talking with him kind of privately on one of our shows, and I brought up the comment regarding broadcast AM. The reason why those guys want as many radios and what they do with the engineering is it's all about dollars. The bigger signal, the more reach, the more. Now they can go to the sales team and say, listen, the FCC says, during the day, our power's here, and then we're going to drop it. But we're still going to reach a large, our target audience, and we're going to sell products through our commercials and everything else. That's the name of the game. We're not in that business. So when I got my DX Commander, and the ground conductivity here in Connecticut is horrible. It's horrible. But it has not stopped me from playing a little bit. But just remembering, I don't need to put out 200 radios. I learned that. I don't need it. It's a waste of time. Especially for poor soil content. I can do it with 32. I use Callum's concept, and it works. It just
I don't
works.
even spread my radials out. I just throw. They just go wherever.
I've seen that with guys, Eric. I've seen that, and I'm like, hey, if it worked for that guy, God bless you. Go have fun if you're making contacts. I think we get too critical. Once again, Walt, here we go again. We're getting way too critical, and we're applying way too much time and logic. Right. Just get the radios out. Who cares? And just get them out.
I'm surfer boy on the beach. I only need one radial, so that's. But I will. I got a question the other day, and I answered it. And I noticed this where I'm at here in Rhode Island. So. Right now, where I'm sitting, I'm in an area called Oakland Beach, which is a little peninsula that kind of goes into the Narragansett Bay. And where I operate from is on the west side of this peninsula, which across Greenwich and Narragansett Bay, I'm looking dead straight at VK and Hawaii. And I always thought when I'm operating on the beach with one counterpoise, I was conducting. I had a couple to it, and I was really good. Omnidirectional, because even from here, I can talk to Europe and hear them or whatever. But one thing I've noticed with my counterpoise pointing straight across at Hawaii and across the country and the VK, I am just blown away by the contacts I've been making into Australia and Hawaii and California, and it's straight line right from where my counterpoise wire is. So I've kind of learned, it's something I used to say, it doesn't matter if you put one counterpoise by the salt water, you're good all around you, whatever. I'm now starting to rethink what I was saying. I think you're good around you as far as maybe you're getting, 4 or 5 dB behind you, but you're getting 15 dB straight or 10 dB straight forward the direction of that counterpoise wire on top of salt water. So I'm learning that as well with counterpoise wires.
Yeah,
I think Eric that.
Oh, good. No,
go ahead,
Mike.
No. All I was gonna say is I think Eric needs to make a shirt. I think the next Live Free and Ham shirt's got to be. I don't even spread my radials. As soon as you said that, I was like,
okay,
that is t-shirt material right there. I don't even.
I can come up with one that's family appropriate, Mike. Then I'll make sure you're the first one free. So I don't even spread my radials.
Well, have you noticed a difference between wires that you're using as far as copper contact. I know nothing about this, but I kind of want to. Have you noticed some guys are saying, be careful what you buy? I just know personally, I bought a lot of tonnage of the DX Commander, that DX10 wire he has. I still have stuff it's still in bags. So when I get into that experimenting mode, whatever, I don't know if it's just it really is good stuff compared to, automotive wire. I don't know.
I'm probably not a good person to ask that question because I have such an advantage of the way I operate by salt water. I mean, I could probably use paper clips and it would work. You know what I mean? It's just like, so for me, it's kind of hard to compare the wire. I will tell you this, and I ton of my videos, the $16.99 Monster 16 gauge speaker wire that they sell at Walmart is the ultimate, most awesome wire I've ever used for antennas, for counterpoise wires, for whatever. It's just good stuff. I mean,
that has to beat my 500 feet of, I was going to say, that has to beat the 500 feet of wire I bought tonight at Home Depot for $75 at 14 gauge.
Yeah.
That's good stuff. That's what I use.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I'm not saying it's bad. It's just, I'm sure that Walmart, if it's good stuff from Walmart, is like, I mean, you can, it's probably a lot cheaper than that, what I paid for that. So,
hey Walt, I think you're on to something here. Like, we should put together sort of like how they do the POTA Box Go Challenge. We should just do Willet antenna. Here's $20. You have 10-15 minutes to go find products and basically assemble an antenna and see how far your farthest contact is based off of anything you can find.
We'll all get on the air and try to work each other live here in the group. That would be fun.
That would be awesome. Yeah. That would be cool.
We were talking before about missing, forgetting something. I like the truck. The truck stops have some stuff for us as hams and sea beers. Yeah. I just wish Walmart would expand some connectors, some call. I know that's a pipe dream. I don't know if there's a marketing thing for them to make any money, but man, because there's always a Walmart somewhere near you where if you need, start selling me some Anderson poles, anything. I don't care. Some Life Pro back. Even if it's just a 4-foot section in the automotive or in the stereo section next to I don't care, Walmart. If you're listening, put it in there. Hams will come in and start buying that stuff. You know it, whether we need it.
From them usually, they sell just about. I mean, they're like an Amazon now online for Walmart. You can buy almost anything from them. So I'm sure they have them. You just not in the store.
Into a Walmart though, like we all have to stand in front of the Walmart we're in, walk in with our cameras, and buy everything and do a video on the Walmart antenna challenge. It's funny you say that.
We should do that. I like that idea.
I like that idea. Yeah.
I watch a lot of the special forces guys, but Sean Ryan and what's the guy? He matter of fact, he has Fieldcraft, the ex-Army Ranger guy. He did a video with Sean Ryan, who's Navy SEAL. The two of them went to a Walmart and they walked in, and it was like apocalyptic, end of the world. They had to survive for a week, and they had like $100 each, and they went into Walmart with that $100 and bought, and they, naturally they both got like a pocket knife and whatever, but Sean Ryan, the Navy SEAL, bought stuff to be weapons and stuff like that. I think it would be cool to do something like that, the Walmart antenna. You know what I mean? All you can have is your radio and coax. The antenna has to be walk through and purchase everything at Walmart. That would be a cool challenge.
Oh yeah, I'm all over that. We're making this happen. So yeah, I'll reach out to you guys. We'll do something. This would be fun before the end of the interview.
But they don't sell toroids, do they? Yeah, they don't sell toroids.
Figure it out. Well, they sell stuff to fix the toroids, in bottles and small little pills. But
But I'm thinking 2 bottles of the Yellowtail Australian wine has rubber corks. You buy 2 bottles of Yellowtail wine, pop the corks out of them, and drink the wine, and you can use them for dipole insulators.
Insulators, there you go.
Don't cross the wires.
Because inside the plumbing section, there's a ton of stuff. There really is. Yep. And now the next time we all go grocery shopping, can you imagine us all going grocery shopping with our spouses, girlfriends, whatever? She's buying. We're all going to split up. We're going to take 2 carriages now. And I'll see you. See you in 20 minutes, maybe 30 minutes, and we're going to be, oh my God, we're all going to go into Walmart for a different reason. I love it.
Totally.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Yeah. I wanted to quick jump in. I don't know if I think Marvin has to duck out sooner than later. And so wanted to
it's not so we're gonna wrap it up here. I was just I've got a couple satellite passes I just checked a few minutes ago. They're gonna be early in the morning, so I was gonna go try and get some stuff prepared versus trying to be that guy that shows up and go, man, I forgot this. And I was like, I guess this pass ain't gonna be no good, So I was just gonna try and grab a few things before it got too late here. So
all right.
Hey, Marvin, I watched the ISS go over Rhode Island this morning at 6:33. I went outside the shipyard; it was still dark, and watched. It went right over us here, so it did a New England.
It was a visible pass, huh?
Oh yeah, it was great.
It was.
I mean, bright because here where I'm at in Rhode Island, it was like not a cloud in the sky. You could just see the daybreak of orange coming from the east, and it was coming out of the west to the north. Oh, it was so bright. It was this morning was a beautiful pass. So I'm explaining to all these other nerdy engineers that I'm working for, gosh, y'all want to see the ISS? They're like, what? I go, naked eye, man. I'll show you the International Space Station. And we walked out. I showed
Stop everything. Stop work. Stop work. This is not a union break. We're on.
At 7:20 in the morning, I was going to try and catch it.
Yeah. But we did that
7:20 in the morning, so I was going to try and catch it in the morning if I could. So
have you guys seen the comet?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Yeah,
I was looking for it last night. I couldn't see it.
Yeah, I got some.
3 nights ago, 4 nights ago.
Yeah, I saw it Wednesday night after practice, so we kind of hung around, and you could kind of see it started to come up, and then it got real clear, and it just sitting out there. But I think it's good through the 25th. So I think we got this next Friday is like the last day you might be able to see it. Last time it was like
northeast or what? Where at in the sky?
So when we went, it's going to change, right? But you could see Venus was pretty bright. It was at 1 o'clock from Venus. And, if you can't see it, take your phone, turn the flash off, and shine it up, and the phone will pick it up better than your eyes. And then when you see it, when you know where it's at, look with your eyes, and all of a sudden your eyes will adjust and see it. But
I did that with the aurora last week, because you couldn't see the aurora, but when you hold your phone up, you can see the aurora.
Yeah. Exactly. Yep.
Yeah, it's kind of the same thing. The phones pick up more than your eyes do, so you can get that.
You know what was funny about the aurora last week? So last Thursday, my son had one of these regional band concerts. 10 towns, they all got together, like 100 and some odd kids. Incredible. But I'm following all this aurora stuff, and they're saying after 9:30, 10 o'clock. I'm like, okay, he gets out around 8:39. I can get back home, and I'll find a spot in my town where it's fairly dark, and I really want to see it again. Somehow, Mother Nature said, no, Izzo. And at 7:30 at night, all of a sudden, my phone's blowing up with pictures from all everywhere. I mean, it was just an absolute incredible. And that's like ham radio contacts. These phenomenons, or I guess not, if you want to call them phenomenon, they really excite us, don't they? Between between that, the space shuttle will always just amaze me. I remember one night just looking at it like over the DX Commander, which is kind of just going by over the DX Commander. It was just it's just such a thrill. I'm glad we live at this time of our lives of where we are in 2024 to see this kind of stuff.
Izzo, did you see Musk land that rocket it took off from the thing and came back and landed in the same place it took off from? Yeah. That is amazing.
Amazing. Let me tell you something. He was like, hold my beer. I'm doing buoys on the water, and I'm going to put it on the bullseye. Now I'm going to put it back into where it
took off.
Yeah.
He's the Albert Einstein of our generation. The dude's amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Hey, you know what, Izzo, it's funny you were talking about that. My feed, the night of all those auroras, someone posted a meme on I guess his Facebook or whatever, and it was what the dude lead singer of Nickelback, Chad, and he's holding up a picture, and it has the aurora in it, and he goes, my feed right now, look at this photograph. It was nothing but really, I looked, it was like nothing but aurora pictures. It was hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah, social media blew up for
it. Did.
I mean, social media just went nuts.
Being from down the North Carolina coast area, all my friends in the Outer Banks on the coast of Carolina were posting amazing pictures, which we don't down there. Virginia Beach and Nags Head and Kill Devil Hills, that part of the world where I'm from, we never. I mean, once in a lifetime do you see an aurora down there. You know what I mean,
Well,
it's
Walt,
Same here, really.
the first, like a couple months ago, we had the first glimpse of the aurora. I had a
Yes.
business trip. I had to go down to Arkansas, and they saw it down there. Like they, not this. I don't know about this last one, but the one that was a couple months ago when it first, we were like, oh, you might be able to see the north. They had it like the pictures they had down there was amazing. So it's definitely been. And they said that there's also going to be more chances this year of seeing it. Like they're predicting it's going to be,
what we get to see down there from where I live at in Virginia is in Southeast Virginia is NASA has the Wallops Island satellite launch pad there in Virginia, Wallops Island, Virginia, and on a clear, perfect night, if it's let's just say the timing is just right, we can see at about 4 or 5 minutes in, if a launch is coming from Cape Canaveral in Florida, we see it come up the horizon if it's launching north, and we get to see launches there. That's kind of the space phenomenon we get to see down there. But seeing an aurora is like super, super rare that far south from where I'm from.
Yeah. Well, guys, I got to bail out of here. It's good hanging out with you.
Cool.
Awesome. Thank you for being here, Rob.
Yeah. Well,
always
thanks
good
for
to
having
see
me.
you.
Rob, one more time.
Catch everyone later.
27 FM Sunday.
Rob, just want to verify 50.165 Connecticut 6 meter, 50.165 sideband.
50.165 most nights around 7 p.m. or so. There's usually 2 or 3 people in there.
Because I'm bringing HF into the tent here. That's which I do every year, and
Nice.
so instead of me watching Salty Walt's YouTube channel, I'm gonna go over to side and play sideband.
Well, there you go.
Second best thing,
I'm
right?
yeah.
I'll jump with Rob at the same time, me too.
Cool, Marvin. Well, hey, thanks for hanging out with us. Appreciate you having you on.
No problem, guys. Good seeing you.
I wanted to get to 7-3 guys. I wanted to get to this question, and now Rob's looking at it. He's like, "Oh wait, maybe I'll stick around."
Stick around.
and I'm not trying to send us into extra innings as I'm looking at the clock right now.
We're getting into ham radio clubhouse.
But
zone.
I gotta
Stop
address
referencing Clubhouse
because within 10 meter, not even, it's like 20 feet away from me is both a 7300 and a 710. And my club bought a little over a year ago Yaesu 710, which is a good radio. And I can't imagine how many G90s Walt has sold. I know because I have the emails and stuff. I've sold several 710s because of the few videos I've done on the Yaesu 710, and it is a really good radio. But the ICOM 7300, for at least for me, and I operate portable. I don't have it set up here at the house. Like it's in a box or a bag, and it goes out to the park, or maybe the deck on occasion. But that radio, they can still, even though the 710 is newer than the 7300, they can still sell the 7300 for more than the 710 because they're selling it. Like, and it is that good. And there's like the G90, you got a big user base. There's a lot of people using that, and it's got some really fantastic features, from the emergency tuner to the display and everything else. That said, the reports, when you look at the receive and the quality, like the 710 is fantastic. And stuff. That the challenge is, in my opinion, then do you spend a few hundred more and get a DX10 if you're going to do that or not? But I just grabbed my club 710 a week or two ago. I got to go through and do some updates on it, and I'll be bringing it out for POTA. I want to bring it out. I want to do it on 60 meters for fun, something different. I'll build a quick and easy 60 meter dipole. I'll play on 60 for a little bit, and I'll probably do some AM with it too. It's a good radio. I love the 7300 though, and I can't say enough good things about that rig.
Let me throw this into the ring, and this is kind of what I recommend to a lot of like new hams, especially if you're trying to figure out whether you got the right radio or not. I started at a Yaesu 450 FT 450D with the tuner, and
Plastic
that had
fantastic.
exactly, had no waterfall, but had at least some filtering and a DSP in it. I learned
Great
how to
radio.
use that stuff. I learned how to be able to get in the filtering, how to be able to understand how it works in terms of the band, and like once I figured that out, it made sense that the AF knob and the RF knob and all of those knobs that we see on these waterfall radios, you kind of get confused. You're like, well, what does it really do? Well, that radio helped me understand that. So when I got the DX10, I was like, oh yeah, now the waterfall just helps me find other things in the mix. And like Mike said, every modern radio that's pretty much made in the past 20 years is going to be a good radio. It's never going to fail you. It's going to, get the same radio signals. What it really boils down to is exactly what Walt's been preaching for a long time. It's all about the antenna. I mean, if you get a good antenna, that radio will perform really well. If you have a crappy antenna, it's going to sound bad. It's just the way it goes. It's just what it hears. So it's kind of way we go.
The 450 is such a great radio, and I'll tell you this: now that we're 2 hours deep, no, the FCC is not watching. That was the radio. that radio can be modded so well for 11.
Mm-hmm.
It was a great radio. I will tell you this: before, and it's kind of going away now. But before waterfalls, what we all did was we just looked at the cluster.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Exactly.
That's how it was done. You know what I mean? Look at the cluster.
Turn the VFO.
Oh,
turn the VFO up and down, up and down, up and down. Yeah.
I love that sound when I was doing field days with no code text, being able to spin the knob and hear the audio come in and then come out, and you were like, okay, I know how to zoom in. And that was always the best part for me, being able to tune that contact in and then make the contact after it.
Yeah, I agree. I'm still to this day. I mean, I as a kid, and I'm still, matter of fact, I'll show you some of my tools here. I'm an AMDXer, and I do it. You can't see this, but I see the antenna here.
See the loop.
Yeah, that's all tuning the dial and listening to AM radio and finding, amazing, obscure AM broadcast radio signals. And I kind of brought that over from that and being a CV guy over to him. And we, even to this day, I tell you what, I still have this radio. It's my Alinco DX70. That's another radio, kind of like the same way, 100 watt. It's, you just tune the dial and, just do this and do this until you find somebody, and then you hunt, and then you go at it.
Not that we want to get on good, Ezzo.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, not that we want to get on the radio.
When the 706 Mark II G came out, I bought it for a variety of reasons. I wanted a mobile HF radio. I wanted something that did 2 meters FM. And 440 because of the repeaters, the simplex. I also did it because prior to the FCC changing how TV signals, I would be able to listen to TV audio, which from an emergency preparedness, that was fantastic. I just wish the 706, if I had to change back time, I wish ICOM, and for whatever the reason, I get the whole marketing, sales, R&D stuff. If that 706 would get remade again. Because like so many guys, I have 2 7300s. I got the 705. I flipped over to the FT 891. I wanted another mobile radio. I can't let go of that 706. But the reality is and I have done same antenna, same band conditions. There is a difference based upon the technology. And that's not ICOM's fault. That would go the same thing for Yaesu, Kenwood. I don't care who it is. I think for anybody, I tell everybody, whatever radio, don't go too crazy. It's like Ford, Chevy, Dodge, Toyota. It's all going to do the same thing. Yeah. Find out what you like and spend time with the radio. Right. You're not going to really break this radio unless you do something really stupid and put some real time into feed line and antennas. And at the end of the day, sometimes it's all about propagation. Because there's nothing worse than I hear guys locally talk about, I hate the radio. It's horrible radio. I couldn't make a contact. Well,
it could be a number
that
of
opens up that opens up a can of worms of like 30 questions like you're at the doctor's office. You know what I mean? It's not the radio's fault. Maybe it's just not the radio fault. Or maybe you got a setting in there. Like I remember one time, I'm like, why is everything so quiet? I had the attenuator on. Man, once I took the attenuator off, everything It came alive.
Mhm.
When I started with my second 7300 and I put it into the Go box, I really wasn't even using the waterfall function until I started watching all these crazy people on YouTube talking about it. And I said, "Oh my God, look at what I'm missing. This feature is right under my nose." And now I use it a little bit more dependently because you see that whole spectrum. You can see, 50 meg,
It's funny.
what's
It's
going
funny
on.
you say that. It's funny you say that, Don, because Tim G5TM. I don't know if he's still in the feed, but he was here earlier talking. He's kind of the guy that convinced me to buy the FT891. He hounded me to buy the FT891, the Yaesu, and I got one. I wanted to fall in love with that radio. And I'm not bashing that radio. It's a great radio. I sold it. I used it for about 4 or 5 months and sold it and got rid of it because for me, coming from, and I know I sound like a broken record, but coming from the G90 to the FT891 was a hard transition because of that waterfall. I was so used to having the waterfall and being able to see the spectrum and move across. And that's why I've said all along, if someone would build something in a form factor of an 891 or a G90 that had 100 watts with a waterfall and an ATU, they would own the freaking market.
I agree. I agree. What? I agree.
The G90 was my first radio, and I sold it. I had bought the 7300 like a year later, used from a friend, and then I had an opportunity to buy a 705 used from someone I knew, and I sold the G90,
Right.
to get the 705. And after Walt did one of his last videos, it's like I'm checking Radiodity like every week now. I'm gonna buy another G90. It's such a good radio.
Make sure you log in. Go to my video and go through me, so I'll get the $7.90 when you buy it.
I will.
But Mike, but you know something,
it'll
Mike.
probably be Black Friday, but like I'll get one of it because like at the end of the day, like there's something about that radio, and I bought it as a new ham because of the price point. I was torn between that and the 891, and I've used the 891 a couple times. It's good, but I figured for the $200 I saved, I could buy better coax and Veston antennas and soldering stations, all these things I would need when I was getting started. And that's what I did. And it helped me save that money and keep my initial investment under $1,000.
It's not a perfect radio. It's not. I mean, it'll make you.
It's not.
There is no such a thing. There's no such thing.
Noisy radio.
You're right, Eric.
Yeah, it's fault. But
Everything is because I've heard too many people bash the 705, and when I ask, I said, listen, I'm not an ICOM representative. I don't have stock in ICOM. I like their product. Okay. I bought my 705 probably for different reasons, but I bought it for what I'm going to use it for. And that is the most important. I don't care what the name of the radio is. Buy the radio for what you're going to use it for, and don't back yourself into a corner. Maybe, yes, there's going to be some features here and there going to be a little bit different. Maybe the menu system's going to be a little different. But like my 705, my God, I use that thing for everything from listening to AM broadcasts to the for locally here on DC. I use that radio all the time. And now coming into winter, I'm going to use it even more because it's right in my bedroom. It's on my desk. All I got to do is push the switch and boom, I'm on. Yes, I'm limited to 10 watts, but I don't care. Other guys, I think everybody gets too sensitive that it didn't have the tuner, it didn't have this. Well, I guess you could say that about any radio, kind of. There's no such thing as a suitcase that's going to have everything in it and it's going to make everybody happy.
So,
and I think, especially for the new people coming in, that they need to understand that. That's
why I say that the G90 is such a good radio for the newbie because of that ATU. I mean, it's so forgiving. It lets you learn how to build antennas. And if it's not working, hit the ATU, tune it. You'll make contact with it. It's a great radio for the beginner. What cracks me up is, and you guys know me, I'm like G90 mafia. I'm all about that radio. But people that come back to me and go, yeah, I don't never buy Chinese crap. I'm like, well, then you probably shouldn't watch your big screen TV tonight when you get home. Because that television you bought at Walmart was absolutely assembled in China. You know what I mean? Like
point.
Stuff, but yeah, that's where I'm at with the G90. I love it.
I would just buy a G90 just to have one because I love the idea of the smallness and the capability it has. But like my fear would be that I would just have it for a while. Like I have the FX4CR. I bought it on that like idea that like, oh, I'm going to do QRP. I've let Paul borrow it to test it. I've taken it out once to do a video review on it.
Did you get it back from Paul?
Oh yeah, I got it back. He complained about his big man hands not being able to handle a little mic and stuff like that. So all of that being said is I still have it, but it's funny how like you've started to mention, and I've been watching more of your channel on the G90. Like it's attracted me more back to grabbing that and bringing it with me. Obviously, when we go to the POTA meetup tomorrow, I'm bringing that with me. And I'm gonna just play around with it and try it, get back into love with it, as they say. And so it's one of those things that like you have radios and it's like Izzo said it in the past. You go through seasons. Radios are no different. Like you will have a radio that you'll hold on to forever, or you'll have like Mike's issue where you buy a radio, you fall in love with it, sell it, and then feel like you've lost your first child and you have to go back and get it. And so it's all
girlfriend,
girlfriend or whatever. Yeah, whatever. But one of the things I thought was funny is that somebody had mentioned, I think it was Veritas Wheels, he was saying he was deciding between the DX10 and the 710. They're in the same family. They're not much different. I mean, there's little small features, but all the functionality is the same, and all the radios are pretty much, the knob is in the same spot, the knob, like all the other control stuff. So you're not going to find that much of a drastic difference. So if you've got the budget, then spend it on the DX10 and you'll be happy. If you don't, then go for the 710 and you'll still be happy.
It's funny you mentioned.
Yeah, and also it's how you're going to use it. If it's going to be set up at your house, they'll probably just go for the DX10. If you're thinking about going portable, then that's a different story.
No, stop there. The 710 is not a field radio. I don't care whether they slap a name on it and call it a field radio.
No,
that's not a field radio.
No,
don't make me do a soda with it tomorrow because I will.
I will thumbs down your video, my friend,
Eric,
if you do.
Eric, did you hear what Jason? One of Jason's. I was laughing my ass off the other night because he's talking about five HF radios, and they were he was joking because if it has a strap on the side, is that really
because it's a field
radio? It made me
right.
laugh. It's so psychological. Heck, man. I mean, I'm building radios into go boxes, into like file boxes that accountants would use. You know what I mean? And look at the Apache cases and the Gator and the SKUs, or just simple backpacks. It's find out how you're going to use this radio. Like Mike just said, if it's going to stay inside the house, well, I just lost the light battery power.
Somebody didn't pay the bill.
Eric, you mentioned the FX4CR. I'll tell you I owned one and I sold it as well. I'll tell you my experience and kind of compare it to the G90 real quick and a rundown. I forced myself. I was working in Poland. I'd go to Poland for 2 months. I'd come home for 6 weeks. I'd go back to Poland for 2 months. And I would always take the G90. On one of my 2-month deployments in Poland working, I took the FX4CR and left the G90 home. I somehow forced myself to use the FX4CR. Great radio. Loved it. Had made great contacts with it. I mean, long path contacts to Australia from Europe with it. It's a great radio. Now, here's my opinion. After forcing myself to use nothing but the FX4CR for 2 months after being a G90 guy, the FX4CR is a great little radio, form, small, whatever. I look at it this way. If you were going to the Ford dealership right now and you wanted to buy a Bronco,
you'd never see me there, but anyway.
Well, all right. Well, what I'm saying as an analogy, or the Jeep dealership. I'm a Jeep guy. Go to the Jeep dealership and you're going to buy a Wrangler. You buy the Wrangler with the stock rims, the stock, the 4-cylinder instead of the 6, the stock rims. You know what I mean? Those small tires or whatever. And you own a Jeep. Okay, that's the FX4CR. Now you go to the dealership, you get the lift package, you get the big tires, you get the tow package, you get everything with it. That's the G90. That's the difference between the FX4CR and the G90 is same radio. One of them just has the ATU, everything to it, and it's they'll both go into 4-wheel drive and drive down the beach. But the G90's just got the extended, it's got the bells and whistles to it. You know what I mean? And just two different 20-watt radios. If you get a G90, I guarantee you'll sell that FX4CR and you'll be done with it.
Wow,
I might keep both.
look
You
at
never
that.
know. You never know. Well, if there's one floating out there that people want me to review, I'm happy to review it, and we'll see where we go with it.
Yeah.
I love Jody's comment about it's not you, it's me. I see that's he's right.
Where did I land with the Q900? I still have that Q900, and I actually like that. I'm starting, that little radio is growing on me. That Q900 is going to end up being my and you guys are going to laugh at me. It's going to be my UHF VHF radio. I kind of want to get a couple egg beaters and turn it into maybe a satellite chasing radio instead of
That's cool.
Yeah, that's where I'm going with that. So that question I just saw about the Q900.
I love how the egg beater antennas are coming back. I love it. I remember back in the 90s and in the 80s when I got into the hobby, guys were using egg beaters all the time. And then it just, even like the Halo antennas, the same thing with the Halo antennas for 6 meters, 2 meters, 4, and they just kind of went away. Now they're coming back again. It's because I remember one time with my grandfather, I said to him, look, I have this, I wanted to surprise him. I said, look, I found this article about this thing. It's called the Halo antenna. And he laughed at me. He says, we would go down to the muffler shop. We'd go down to the local garage, have the guy pipe bend the muffler for us, and we would load it up, and that was our Halo. But we didn't. It's funny how things are coming around again, and I love it. I absolutely love it, because then it opens up the whole experimental thing that we were talking about before. It's leads to bands and modes and this and that, and keeping this hobby alive.
Well, you know what? It's funny. Egg beater. If you zoom in on any picture of a U.S. Navy destroyer or frigate or whatever on the top of the house, you'll see an egg beater on the port and the starboard side. That's the same for me being a shipbuilder. That's kind of why I want one, because I've seen them in action on the Navy. That's their uplink and downlink for satellites when you're out at sea, is the egg beater antennas that are on ships.
Yeah, good patterns.
Yeah.
So
right, we should put a bow on this thing.
wait, real quickly. So if we see Walt on a security camera getting arrested for taking those antennas off a ship, we know why.
We know why. You heard it here firsthand. All right, Mike. Let's try to put some closure.
All right, how do we tie this thing up?
Well,
good night, 73.
We all love the fall. It's a great season to enjoy beers and ham radio. And no, thank you everyone for joining us. Over 2 hours. This is fantastic. This was a blast. And I know we talked about some of the events that are coming up. Tomorrow's New York QSO party. I know that was it CQ Worldwide is coming up in October. Yep, that's like the 26th-ish or so. POTA Support Your Parks is going on right now. Get on the air, be a hunter, get out there and activate late
40
shift.
is busy.
It's a fun time to operate, and we talked a lot about 11 meters, 10 meter, like the bands, you can't beat it right now with the solar cycle and just propagation, like 10 meters and then 160. It'll start blowing up pretty soon too as we get into the winter. It's a good time to get out there and play radio. So I'll just leave it at that. Thanks for tuning in on my end. I still haven't figured out how I am going to do the QSO party and the Support Your Parks weekend yet, because I'm kind of so busy with the kids and everything. It's like day to day, but I'll be out probably with a 710 this weekend. And after this conversation, I might have to hike up and do a soda with it tomorrow. We'll see.
Oh, don't you. Thumbs down.
We'll see. I'll try to prove that it can be a field radio, but awesome. No, that's it for me, guys. This was a blast. This is awesome.
This was so much fun, guys. Anytime you guys want me here, as long as I'm in the Northeast, I'd love to be here. So thanks for the invite. Anytime. Izzo, I need to do the clubhouse soon, guys. You got to get me over there.
Hit me up on Twitter or email. You know how to get a hold of me.
Yeah, I know how to get a hold of you as well. If anyone's on here now at the 2 hour mark, what Rob and I are going to hook up Sunday, and we're driving to each other. I'll let it out now. I'm going to drive from Rhode Island. He's driving from Connecticut, and we're going to talk FM 11 meters on Sunday and make videos.
Very cool.
That's going to be fun.
Cool. I dare you to spot it on the podium, the POTA page. Then. Do they even have it drop down for 11 meters?
I got a new radio. I got this. This is my first time with the green screen, guys. Sorry, this is the President Harrison FCC. It's an FM radio. It was actually the first FM radio legal in the United States for 11. So I just got it from them. So my video will obviously be about that radio, but we're gonna play and have some fun.
Very cool.
Excellent.
Awesome, guys.
All right.
Somebody hit that big button then. Izzo, you're good at that, right?
No, I'm happy to be here. I thought we were only going to go an hour. I don't care if dinner's waiting in the kitchen. That's what they make aluminum foil and microwaves for. So, so
before we go, I got this really good story about Izzo. I got to tell real quick.
No.